Good morning. Welcome to RSBN Live. I'm Matthew Alvarez. Before we start our broadcast, first, let's give a shout out to all of the mama bears out there. Thank you for doing what you do. Thank God for you. Obviously, you guys are rock stars. So, and also a shout out to we the people who, just like our founding fathers, were constitutional conservatives. If you look at what a constitutional conservative is, I don't think you'll get any flack or hate by saying the following. A constitutional conservative have a strict adherence to the original meaning and principles of the U.S. Constitution, emphasizing limited government, individual liberty, federalism, separation of powers, and the rule of law. All right, so at 10:30 this morning, we have about an hour of coverage here until we'll see the president. He'll participate in a maternal health care event at the Oval Office. We'll have that here for you. Later today at RSBN doubleheader, we'll hear from the president once again as he'll host the 2026 National Football Champions Indiana Hoosiers. That'll be at 4 o'clock Eastern later today. Let's revisit yesterday one more time. Again, happy Mother's Day from RSBN and a few people you might know. So let's take a look at that video from clip number 1.
At the very heart of America's strength lies the boundless love and quiet power of mothers. We are the most devoted teachers, gently nurturing empathy, inspiring dreams, and guiding our children towards goodness. We help them rise with courage when life grows difficult. In every hug, every story read at bedtime, and every sacrifice made without complaint, mothers build the moral foundation of our families. In doing so, America's mothers help build the soul of our nation.
Hello, my name is Tommy Piggott, spokesperson at the United States State Department.
And I'm Mignon Houston, the deputy spokesperson.
And we'd like to wish all of the mothers in the United States and all around the world a very happy Mother's Day.
We owe a great deal of gratitude to the mothers who play such a pivotal role in our lives, for your unconditional love, your leadership and strength, and for your steadfast support.
As is obvious to all, mothers provide the foundation upon which families and nations are built. That's why this administration remains so committed to uplifting mothers and families and supporting them through our policies and actions.
To foreign service and civil service mothers, and to all those serving abroad, we are grateful for you.
We recognize all that you do every single day, often away from family and friends, to advance the cause of our great nation. Your dedication is shaping the next generation of Americans.
To first-time mothers, congratulations. And to all mothers, we are grateful for you. Happy Mother's Day.
And happy Mother's Day to you.
Happy Mother's Day, and to our families out there, congratulations to all of you, because the greatest expression of optimism, the greatest expression of confidence in the American dream isn't buying a home, it isn't the S&P 500 or the NASDAQ, it is starting families. It is investing in the future of this country by having children. And mothers, thank you for doing it. Thank you for taking that leap and having children. We celebrate motherhood. We celebrate families. We celebrate life. We're so proud of you. You're the best we have here in America. And most importantly, you're doing it here in the greatest country in the world. We need to continue to celebrate the creation of families, celebrate that we put women and children first. We put mothers first. We should be proud of that. We shouldn't question whether women are a real thing. We should celebrate that women are women and that they have this amazing, unique capability to create life, to literally create life from scratch. We have to celebrate that. We have to protect that. So thank you to all you mothers out there, and happy Mother's Day.
It's a very special day because
it's Mother's Day.
And who are you?
Okay, well, can we start over? That was just not right.
This is Lily, my beautiful daughter, the youngest of 4.
There is nothing I ever wanted to be any more than to be a mom. So I am the mother of 2. I have a king's family. I have a prince and a princess. I have a son and a daughter and 6 grandchildren.
My name is Rachel Campos Duffy. My husband is the Secretary of Transportation, and we have 9 kids. As soon as President Trump formed his cabinet and my husband was part of it, I knew this was going to be the most family-friendly administration in American history because you have 15 cabinet members with almost 70 kids. The families are huge in this cabinet. And so this is the cabinet and a president who cares about the future, who cares about making sure that the nuclear family becomes the most important unit in our society.
Yeah, we have 3 kids right now. We have a 4th child who's due in July. And one of the most exciting things about having kids is just seeing how different they are. Each one has a different personality. There are different things that inspire them.
I'm Jennifer Hegseth. My husband is Pete Hegseth, Secretary of War, and we have 7 kids. At one point, we had 7 under 7. I don't really remember that period. It's a blur. And I have pictures, and I wonder, how did we do it? And the truth is, you just do it because it is so fulfilling.
It teaches you everything. You have patience, and patience, and just love and joy. It's really incredible, and I feel so fortunate to be a mom. I had a wonderful mom. She had 6 children. I'm the 4th of 6 kids.
I'm Farrah Sonderling. My husband is Keith Sonderling, the acting Secretary of Labor. We have 2 little boys, a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old. They bring us so much joy in our lives.
As a mom, there's a lot of things that have surprised me. One is the spiritual capacity of my children. Little kids, very, very little kids have capacity to understand God almost better than we as adults. And that's also a really great lesson for me as a mom to go, look, you do everything you can, but ultimately, these kids belong to God.
I have loved watching my babies being born and being with my children as they have grown. And now as they're adults, they are not only still so precious and dear to me, but they are also 2 of my very best friends. There's nothing I enjoy any more than to have an outing or to be with my children.
It's the greatest privilege of my life. There are so many exciting things that happen in life, but there is nothing more exciting than getting to see the world through the eyes of kids as they're growing up. Everything is just more exciting with my children around. And everything is more meaningful. There's virtually nothing that I do in a given day that means as much as seeing them learn something new, seeing them grow into being a better person, helping shape a future where they will be able to do the same things that I'm doing today.
It is an all-encompassing job. You're the chef, you're the nurse, you're the teacher, you're everything. My favorite part about being a mom is watching my kids. If I could, my favorite spot would be a perch somewhere in the room, watching them play together, learn together, experience life.
For me, motherhood is by far the best job I've ever had, the most important job I've ever had, times a billion. I want to give a special shout out to my mom, a single mom who raised my sisters and me all by herself in rural Texas. We really struggled financially, but never, ever struggled with love and support. And it's really my mom, the reason that I'm here, who inspired me and my sisters to dream bigger than we ever thought imaginable.
I've done a lot of things in my life, but there is nothing that I've done professionally that comes even remotely close to the pride I feel in being a mom to my 9 children.
It can be very tempting to think that kids are a burden or will take some part of you away, make you unable to do the things you wanted to do. It just couldn't be further from the truth. They enhance everything. Kids enhance every part of your life. So if young people are out there and wondering, should I have kids? Should I not have kids? How will it affect everything I'm doing? It will only make it better, I promise.
I think President Trump is the greatest president we've ever had for moms. not just the Trump accounts, but the working families tax cuts.
I am reminded of all of the incredible work by this administration to support families, to support moms. But one of the incredible things that this president has done and our administration is the Trump accounts. And the idea that you have a government that supports the family and supports having children and supports real American family values that are grounded in scripture back to the very beginning of time.
When I was with the president and he signed his first presidential fitness certificate, and we had lots of children at the White House, it is so incredibly important as we nurture our children through life that we really pay attention, as mothers do, I believe, always, but this emphasis now on their health of eating properly and of exercise and fitness. We need to have a healthy mind and a healthy body.
This Mother's Day, we celebrate mothers across America. And we thank President Trump for opening up IVF access so more women can become mothers. And I'm grateful to President Trump for the executive order creating the Great American Recovery Initiative focused on the chronic disease of addiction and people struggling with addiction and people in recovery from addiction.
I love how President Trump and this administration has brought the focus back to the family. I'm from a family of 6 kids. My husband's from 4. We only had 2, but I love seeing the focus of family first. And to all you moms out there, happy Mother's Day.
The hardest working job in the world. Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day. Have a very special and wonderful day.
I'm so grateful and blessed to have such an amazing mom by my side, and I just wanted to say happy Mother's Day to all the incredible mothers out there.
Yeah. That was perfect.
Wow, a lot of videos from the White House and various cabinet officials there. For those of you who no longer have your mom by your side, God is with you. You'll see her again. My dad passed away in 2007. It's great to know that there's a heaven to see loved ones again. Let's go to a few of our sponsors here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. We'll be talking about the maternal health care event as well at the White House in just a minute. But let's go to mypillow.com/RSBN. The Mother's Day special, the sale is still ongoing. You have all the different percentages off and great prices there. You can check out mypillow.com/RSBN, mypillow.com/RSBN. Great sponsor here at Right Side. We'll be talking more about MyPillow in just a little bit. Also, if you'd like to donate to Right Side, all you have to do is go to rsbnetwork.com/donate, rsbnetwork.com/donate as we continue to grow and expand here at the network. And thank you for donating to Right Side Broadcasting Network. As for today's maternal health care event at the White House, this release just announced by the president, or at least the White House rapid response page. So yesterday on Mother's Day, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services launched moms.gov, a groundbreaking website for new and expecting mothers. This first-of-its-kind resource offers guidance and information to support the health and well-being of mothers and their families. Moms.gov, we're told from the White House and from the department there, also supports expecting parents who are navigating difficult or unexpected pregnancies. It features information about pregnancy centers, federally qualified health centers, nutritional guidance, talks about Trump accounts, and other resources that allow maternal and infant health to thrive. So a quote here, I believe this is from RFK Jr. saying, quote, "This Mother's Day, the Trump administration is strengthening its commitment to America's families by equipping mothers and fathers with the resources and information they need to build healthy, prosperous lives." HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy, Jr., of course. Moms.gov delivers critical tools and support to help parents foster healthy pregnancies, strengthen young families, and create brighter futures for their children. This is how you make America healthy again. This is all according to the White House, of course, reading this and sharing this here with you. On Mother's Day, we recognize that the health of mothers and the health of women are deeply connected, said Deputy Assistant Secretary for Women's Health, Dr. Dorothy Fink. And through our Perinatal Improvement Collaborative, we have reduced maternal mortality by 41.5%. We remain committed to supporting women's health throughout motherhood and at every stage of life. So this is, again, the event that's happening today at the White House. Specifically, this will be in the Oval Office coming up at about 10:30. So we'll have that for you. We also have some live interviews upcoming. And later today, the president will be speaking from the White House and hosting the Indiana Hoosiers football team, the national championship team. So we'll have a bit of an RSBN doubleheader for you today. We have a number of videos to get to, and again, a lot of interviews coming up over the course of today and through tomorrow and Wednesday as we continue to monitor President Trump's trip when he starts with the First Lady, of course, out to China to visit with Xi Jinping. Meantime, back to moms.gov. It's an easy-to-navigate platform that features information on support services and health centers, nutrition, and quick facts for mothers based on dietary guidelines for Americans, Trump accounts, Trump RX, resources for women and parents, preconception health, breastfeeding, mental health, and adoption. So just to sum it up here, to make America healthy again means providing the chance for families to excel physically, mentally, and in their social and spiritual well-being. Moms.gov is an important new federal resource in support of that goal. So that, according to a release just announced moments ago on X. So just wanted to share that with you. Of course, coincides with yesterday being Mother's Day, and then of course today's maternal health care event at the White House. Let's shift gears now, and let's go sticking somewhat in the medical field. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth on good old Joe Biden's COVID mandate a few years back. Let's take a look at that with clip number 2.
Joe Biden's mandate to force military service members to take the COVID-19 vaccine was wrongfully and unlawfully applied because the Biden Pentagon refused to grant exemptions for certain medical and faith reasons, not to mention it was an experimental vaccine. As a result, many service members and their families suffered severe hardship, and the department lost trust with the American people. President Trump's executive order on this topic stated that the military unjustly discharged those who refused the vaccine, regardless of their conscience or the years of service given to our nation. He called this what it is: an unfair, overly broad, and completely unnecessary burden on our warriors. Under the leadership of President Trump, the War Department is committed to doing everything we can to make it right, as you know. We want warriors of conscience, warriors who made a principled stand for truth. We want them back in our ranks as soon as possible. We are welcoming back to service patriots who refused the COVID-19 vaccine and were discharged for that reason. If that is you, and you still have the desire to once again wear the cloth of our nation, we are ready to reinstate you with back pay and with benefits. I'm directing the Undersecretary of War for Personnel and Readiness to establish a Department of War COVID-19 Reinstatement and Reconciliation Task Force. The services have them right now. We're establishing one at our level to oversee the entire thing. The task force's goal is to bring back into service all those who desire to continue to serve our country in uniform. Even if you do not intend to return to service, the War Department will provide a path for resolution of unearned bonuses, upgrades to discharge characterizations that will unlock your well-deserved benefits, and removal of adverse documents from service files. Further, I have directed a review of policies and decision-making to ensure that we do not go down this path again. You raised your right hand and swore an oath to serve and protect the Constitution and our nation. You were mistreated by the Biden Pentagon, and we are fixing that injustice.
All right, some direct words there from the top person at the Pentagon, of course, the Department of War, Pete Hegseth. All right, let's go to a few sponsors as we continue our live broadcast here on Right Side Broadcasting Network on this Monday, May 11th. Let's go to All Family Pharmacy. As you see, This is the last day for this huge sale. So usually it's RSBN 10 for 10% off. You're still getting that 35% off for the Mother's Day sale. Of course, Mother's Day happening just yesterday. And while most people are thinking about flowers or dinner plans from over the weekend, that kind of thing, there's something else worth thinking about: her health and being prepared. Moms are always taking care of everyone else, as you guys know, and the second someone gets sick, they're the first to step in and help. So it's time we step in and take care of them too. So right now, All Family Pharmacy is running that Mother's Day sale, 35% off everything on their site with code RSBN35. This is your chance to get ahead. Don't wait until something comes up. You know, you can be prepared with allergy medications, everyday prescriptions, emergency medications, from hormone and thyroid support to weight loss, energy, antibiotics, antivirals, and even anti-aging and hair support. It's all in one place. So you order online and they handle everything for you without the runaround. You can get your prescription approved by a doctor and the company will ship it to your door. You can take care of the women who take care of everyone else. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN and use that code RSBN35. The offer ends today, so RSBN35 for 35% off. When there are supply constraints on commodities, prices surge. You see it with the fuel prices out there, with the Strait of Hormuz being blockaded. And you know what else is a limited commodity? Gold. They mine it out of the ground, of course, and when it's gone, it's gone. Governments can't just print more of it, and that's why everyone from central banks to savvy savers are diversified with gold. And if you've been thinking about it for years but have still never moved some of your savings into physical gold, Birch Gold Group is who we trust to help you. Now through May 29th, Birch Gold is giving first-time gold buyers a rebate of up to $10,000 on qualifying purchases. For details and a free information kit on diversifying into gold, text Trump to that number you see on your screen, 989898. Birch Gold can help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA and physical gold. Just text Trump to that number, 989898. This is to see if you qualify for a first-time gold buyer rebate of up to $10,000. Great sponsor there, Birch Gold Group and All Family Pharmacy. We have plenty more to come here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. We'll go to that in just a little bit. And June 14th is almost around the corner, which means there will be some fighting on the south lawn of the White House. Let's take a look at clip 3. A quick teaser video there from the White House and UFC. So I saw some of the renderings of what it's going to look like with the stage and some of the stands that will be built and the stage out there. And it's going to be quite the sight there on June 14th. So, all right, let's move on and go from the White House over to that restoring the reflecting pool. Let's take a look at that video. It'll be interesting to see that American flag blue color there as the workers are working almost around the clock for that week to get that all taken care of. So it'll be quite the difference from the gray kind of murky water look to a bright blue there in Washington, D.C. along that National Mall. Of course, on May 17th, a huge Rededicate 250 event happening there, of course, with prayer and praise and Chris Tomlin, the Christian artist, and others performing. So it'll be quite the day that day as well. All right, let's shift now to the America's mayor, Rudy Giuliani. Of course, we saw that he was in critical but stable condition. Looks like he's overcome that situation there. Now, his attorney shared a message with the public recently, so let's take a look at that.
My name is Joseph Camarata, and I'm an attorney on the legal team for America's Mayor, Rudolph W. Giuliani. Today I'm here to clear the record. The press has reported misstatements and information that is not factual in nature regarding America's mayor's health and his application for 9/11 healthcare benefits, which he is entitled to. We all know who Rudy Giuliani is. Rudy Giuliani is America's mayor because he led the charge during the attacks of 9/11. He raced down to the Trade Center with firefighters, police officers, EMS workers, other rescue personnel, and civilian volunteers in America's darkest day to lead the charge in one of the largest rescue missions that have taken place on U.S. soil. Instead of sitting behind a desk and monitoring the chaos and darkness from a television screen, he chose to put his life and limb at stake. Just like many other rescue workers and civilians who become ill with 9/11 related illness, Rudy Giuliani is not immune to that. He too has become ill from his response that day. Rudy Giuliani is somebody who has always put the general public first. He's always put Americans first and New Yorkers first. From his days at the U.S. Attorney's Office, when he prosecuted the 5 families and took down the mafia, to his response during 9/11, that's who Rudy Giuliani is. But he's not invincible, although most seem to believe he might be, including myself, in light of his recent recovery from a medical emergency. Rudy Giuliani had been admitted to the hospital in serious condition in ICU, the intensive care unit. At one point, he was administered his last rites by a priest. That's how bad it got. However, knowing Rudy, like I do, from being his legal counsel, he's a fighter, and he fought through, and he's on his way to making a recovery. He's still in the hospital. However, he's making great progress each and every day. And the American people should know. He believes in the power of prayer, and he feels the prayer and the love that's being projected toward him from his supporters. And our team thanks you. The press needs to make this right. Rudy Giuliani has serious medical conditions, restricted airway disease and COPD. His recent admission was for metapneumovirus. To you and I, it would be no issue. However, with his serious 9/11 related illnesses, it became life-threatening. Now there's this misinformation that his application was filed by him while he was in the hospital in some sort of way to misappropriate and get medical care or benefits. That's clearly not who he is. That's clearly not the case. The press wants you to think that. Well, the left-wing press does. However, his application had been filed in January of 2026. That's when it was started. And this is because he has had several years of medical crisis due to his response to 9/11. The media needs to make this right immediately. As the American people, the press need to report to us the facts. That's what we deserve as Americans, not manufactured and created press. Now, this isn't the first time that Mayor Giuliani has been victimized by the press, and he will not be held down by this. And I can tell you, the press, you know who you are. We know who you are. You have to take this down immediately and correct the record. Otherwise, our legal team, we're prepared to take this to the courts and go after the press to the fullest extent of the law. Be guided accordingly. And to the American people, thank you for the outpouring of support for Mayor Giuliani. America's mayor deserves to be taken care of. America's mayor deserves health care. America's mayor deserves love and support and respect. Thank you.
All right, so one of the attorneys for Rudy Giuliani speaking there. If you missed any of that, of course, you can always replay some of it or just scrub back a bit. Catch us up here on the live stream here on Right Side as it's about 10 a.m. We're going to be seeing President Trump from the Oval Office for a maternal health care event in about 30 minutes from now. On deck is a great Patriot. We'll get to that Patriot in just a second. Let's go to Kalshi.com/RSBN. Of course, you can download the app if you'd like. You can go to the QR code or you can go to Kalshi.com/RSBN. Really a lot of people watching the LA mayor's race. Of course, Spencer Pratt, man, he's becoming a rock star. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Also, a number of other things that people are following on Kalshi include specifically the Texas State Republican primary, which is on May 26th, and also back out there in California, the gubernatorial race. A lot going on in the Golden State. A lot of different topics as well. If you don't want to look at politics on Kalshi, you can look at sports or faith or weather, all sorts of stuff that people are talking about and putting money on the line for. And a lot of times people just check the polling on these various things. And it's interesting to see what kinds of topics and questions people are talking about on Kalshi. So that's a great place to do all of that right there, Kalshi.com. Let's also go to one of our next sponsors here on right side. You see it right there, Cove Pure. You've heard us talk about Cove Pure a few times, and you know those water scares back in Flint, Michigan, at East Palestine. If they weren't enough to get you to make the switch, this might, because more than 176 million Americans are drinking tap water with PFAs in it. They're man-made chemicals used in food packaging, non-stick cookware, firefighting foam. Sounds like some great stuff to drink in your water, right? I mean, come on. Scientists call them forever chemicals because once they're in your body, they stay there, they don't break down, and they're linked to hormone disruption, immune damage, and even increased cancer risk. But here's the part that is making a number of people upset, because the EPA, you know, they're doing their job by setting legal limits for PFAs in drinking water back in 2024, but water systems have until 2031 to comply. That's a whole 5 years from now, and until that deadline arrives, the utility can be operating above the legal limit, and they're not required to notify you. So you're just drinking that water, and that's why every single household should get this product right here, Cove Pure, because the government knows these chemicals are harmful enough to regulate. They're just not making anyone act on it yet, which means if you want clean, healthy water, you're gonna have to do it yourself. And Cove Pure was actually engineered exactly for this, unlike those normal pitcher filters you can get at the store. Their ClearWave reverse osmosis technology is certified to remove up to 99.9% of contaminants. So those PFAs, heavy metals, fluoride, pharmaceuticals, you know, this machine filters particles hundreds of thousands of times smaller than a single human hair. The best part about Cove Pure is they make it really easy here. It sits right on your countertop. You don't have to drill any holes or call someone in to install it. You just plug it in. You can even get whatever temperature water you want, hot, cold, or warm, with the tap of a button. So you don't have to wait until 2031. Take control of your water quality right now. Head to covepure.com/RSBN. And because you're a viewer of this broadcast, you'll get $250 off right now. That's covepure.com/RSBN. We also don't want to wait till 2031 to get the Save America Act passed, right? Wouldn't that be great if we could get that taken care of quickly? It's an uphill climb, though, so I'm not sure if it's actually going to happen, but hopefully it does. All right, let's go to a great patriot now. Joining us now is a great patriot who tells it like it is and running for Congress in Florida. John Strand is back on the show. Thanks so much, John, for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Matthew. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. And it's a very exciting new week in this adventure that we call Defending America.
That's perfectly put. That's exactly what's going on. Can you give us an update on your campaign, on the campaign trail? I know you attend a lot of events. And so what's going on in Florida?
It's getting very exciting. It's getting very hot down here in Southwest Florida. We're on the street sweating, knocking doors, meeting voters, and gathering signatures. Matthew, we are the only candidate in the Florida 19 Republican primary that's going to qualify to be on the ballot by gathering signatures rather than just cutting the $10,000 check to the state. So I think that's a really exciting mark of just the commitment to the grassroots effort that our campaign is all about. We are of, by, and for the people at johnstrand.com. As you know, I went through an incredible experience of weaponized government with the J6 incident, winning at the Supreme Court to be completely exonerated and trying to return some real courage, common sense, and Judeo-Christian values back into the government with this race. But it's getting very interesting in the Florida 19 primary. I hope people pay attention and get involved in their primary elections.
Exactly. Primary elections, very important. We saw the vice president the other day in Ohio, in his home state there, taking part in the primary. So even before that November 3rd huge midterm, of course, the primary is extremely important. Now,
Yes.
John, when you're out there and you're with the crew and you're knocking on doors, talking to people, it's hot, what runs through your mind at that point? What is driving you every day to do that?
Well, what's driving me certainly is my love for America, my love for freedom and for justice. So I really want to see the American people set free. I want to see Southwest Florida protected and preserved, because in Florida, we've really set the standard here for liberty and justice and for the American dream. and we want to preserve that, but we really want to set a standard for the rest of the country to really rise back to what America was intended to be for all of us. So that's what runs through my mind. And I hear a lot of things from voters in terms of their concerns. They're deeply concerned about corruption. They're deeply concerned about a lack of accountability in the government. So there are different nuances depending on what neighborhood you're in or what state you're talking about. As far as the local issues, certainly in Southwest Florida, we have major concerns with the cost of insurance, the cost of housing, affordability issues, and general security, because we're all at risk when the rule of law is not upheld. So law enforcement, border control, the scam of illegal immigration and even legal immigration are issues that are important to everyone that we need to address. And we're working really hard on that at johnstrand.com.
And also, if you were elected to be a congressman out of Florida representing the Sunshine State, of course, at that federal level, you'll be tackling those issues. And at the state level, they have some of those things to take care of too. But at the end of the day, Florida, under the leadership of Governor DeSantis, has been the envy of a number of states out there. So what's it like to live and possibly represent the several million people that live in the Sunshine State?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's a pleasure and an honor. It is so wonderful to experience kind of what I call old school America, the way that the country was supposed to be. I feel like it's almost a time warp being in Southwest Florida as compared to other places in the country. Certainly California, where Spencer Pratt's trying to turn it around. New York, where Mondani has just destroyed the entire concept of free market systems and the American dream. So yeah, Florida is an amazing blessing. I just invite people to learn more and celebrate. And no matter where you are, if you're listening to this right now, you individually have an ability to make a real difference in key races. You should support Turning Point and other organizations that are grassroots based. But Florida 19 is an incredible opportunity to put a proven patriot in Congress. We definitely need your donations because we're grassroots and not funded by the establishment. Every dollar counts. Donate at johnstrand.com. And wherever you live, get involved in your local primaries. Help patriots get elected. And it really falls on each one of us to do our part to make a difference and seize the day in these midterms. They're not the midterms, Matthew. It's the final countdown to decide if we're going to engage in our government and complete the America First agenda that we elected President Trump to execute.
John Strand, running for Congress in Florida. John, thanks again for joining us on Right Side.
Always a pleasure. God bless you, Matthew, and God bless the United States of America. We're going to win.
Amen. Winning is always a good thing. Thank you, sir. All right, so John Strand, once again, joining us here. I mean, that's something that with John, I can go on for probably 2 hours interviewing him about all of the things that he's gone through in his life. And he's, I don't think he's 40. He's younger than that. And he's gone through so much, but has that heart of fierce fighter there in Florida, fighting legally, lawfully, and spiritually for the right side of history. So it's great to see that. We have some more live interviews coming up in just a minute and also some more videos. Before we get to that, let's go to some of our sponsors here on Right Side Broadcasting Network, including All Family Pharmacy. We know Mother's Day, of course, happened just yesterday, and maybe you had dinner or flowers and cards and all the things for mom, but there's something else worth thinking about, her health and being prepared. Moms are always taking care of everyone else, as we know, and the second someone gets sick, they're the first to step in and help. So it's time we take care of them too. So just right now, All Family Pharmacy is running that Mother's Day sale for the last day. Today's the last day of it for this year. 35% off with that RSBN 35 code. Now, everything on their site is 35% off, so it's your chance to get ahead. You don't have to wait till something comes up. You can be prepared with allergy medications, everyday prescriptions, emergency medications, from hormone and thyroid support to weight loss, energy, antibiotics, antivirals, even anti-aging and hair support. It's all in one place. So you order online, they handle everything for you from there, and you don't have to deal with the runaround, right? So get your prescription approved by a doctor, and the company will ship it to your door. And specifically, they have doctors to approve them as well. So it's one-stop shop, really. allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. You can take care of the women who take care of everyone else. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN and use that RSBN 35 promo code. Again, that offer ends Monday, May 11th, which is today. All right, let's go to our next sponsor here on Right Side. You see there, Birch Gold Group. When there are supply constraints on commodities, prices surge. It's a cause and effect situation, right? You saw it with fuel prices when the Strait of Hormuz was blockaded. And we know that gold is also a limited commodity. They mine it out of the ground, and when it's gone, it's gone. Governments can't just print more of it, and that's why everyone, from central banks to savvy savers, they're really diversifying with gold. If you've been thinking about it for years but have still never moved some of your savings into physical gold, Birch Gold Group is who we trust to help you. Now through May 29th, Birch Gold is giving first-time gold buyers a rebate of up to $10,000 on qualifying purchases. So for details and a free information kit on diversifying into gold, text Trump to that number you see there on your screen, 989898. Birch Gold can help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold. So just text Trump to that number, 989898. You'll see if you qualify for a first-time gold buyer rebate of up to $10,000. Again, text Trump to 989898 today. All right, let's move on right now. Let's take a quick commercial break. It is 10:11 Eastern Time. We'll be right back here on RSBN Live.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First news. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
Welcome back to Right Side Broadcasting Network. Let's check out a new video from Secretary of the Interior Doug Burgum as we take a closer look at our national parks.
It's been an incredible day here in Rocky Mountain National Park, one of the most visited parks in the country. Had an opportunity today to meet the men and women that do everything they can to make world-class experiences for our visitors. And special thanks to President Trump. Great American Outdoors Act has provided much-needed capital for campground upgrades, road improvements, safety improvements, wildland firefighting improvements. Thanks to everybody here, from the hotshots on the wildland firefighting team to the superintendent and the whole incredible team. Things are looking great here at the Rocky Mountain National Park, getting ready for an incredible summer of celebration. America, it's our birthday. Get out and see America's best idea, our national parks.
If you ever got a chance or get a chance to go to Utah for Arches National Park, awesome stuff. Got to see that years ago. Worked in Grand Junction, Colorado, Market 187 back in 2005. So, just getting ready to be a journalist, reporter, that kind of thing back in the day there out in western Colorado. I'm originally from Pennsylvania, and, you got to go where the job is sometimes, and there you go. Went to Colorado. But anyway, right across the border there, Arches National Park. Gorgeous stuff out there, and I'm sure you guys have been to a lot of national parks as well, and we have a beautiful country. All right, let's do this. Let's take a look at one candidate making a name for himself in the political world. American reality TV star Spencer Pratt is running for mayor in LA. Let's take a look at some of the videos he's been posting.
Turns out it's a lot easier to fight fires when there's water in the reservoirs.
We're even allowed to arrest criminals now, with handcuffs and everything.
I don't have to wonder anymore whether I just stepped in human shit or dog shit, so that's nice.
I only see needles in the hospital now. Who knew it could be this way?
I love going to the park now that it's not an open drug market.
Okay, who here is willing to admit that common sense actually turned out to be good?
I feel safe walking her. She's definitely having a Pratt summer.
Who's having a Pratt summer?
This is where Mayor Bass lives. You notice something? Or here, where Nithya Raman's $3 million mansion sits. They don't have to live in the mess they've created where you live. This is where I live. They let my home burn down. I know what the consequences of failed leadership are. That's why I'm running for mayor. For my sons and the rest of us Angelinos that want to stop these corrupt politicians from destroying our city. We are going to get the golden age of Los Angeles back.
Holy smokes. And you know what, guys? I mean, I didn't get to see all the videos, right? I was seeing the links and I said, well, that looks like a good one. This looks like a good one. Now, knowing the context and researching Spencer Pratt, of course, that's why I already can just throw the links on and let's watch them. How powerful were all of those? If I was in LA, I'd be voting for him. I don't know about you. All right, we're going to have a live interview coming up to talk a little bit about Spencer Pratt maybe and some other topics in just a second. Before we do, let's go to some of our sponsors here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. All Family Pharmacy, once again, as you guys see there, 35% off. This is something that ends today. So, of course, Mother's Day happening just yesterday, but now specifically thinking about maybe her health and being prepared, because moms are always taking care of everyone else. And the second someone gets sick, they're the first to step in and help. So it's time, of course, that we take care of them too. And right now, All Family Pharmacy is running a Mother's Day sale, 35% off everything on their site with code RSBN35. So this is your chance to get ahead. Don't wait until something comes up. You can be prepared with allergy medications, everyday prescriptions, emergency medications, from hormone and thyroid support to weight loss, to energy, antibiotics, antivirals, even anti-aging and hair support. It's all in one place. So you order online and they handle everything for you without the runaround. Get your prescription approved by a doctor and the company will ship it to your door. Take care of the women who take care of everyone else. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN and use that RSBN35 promo code. Again, that offer ends today. Let's go to our next sponsor here on Right Side Broadcasting. Of course, Birch Gold Group. When there are supply constraints on commodities, prices surge. You see it with fuel prices when the Strait of Hormuz was blockaded, and we know that gold is also a limited commodity. They mine it out of the ground, and when it's gone, it's simply gone. Governments can't just print more of it, and that's why everyone from central banks to savvy savers are diversified with gold. So if you've been thinking about it for maybe a few years, but have never still moved some of your savings into physical gold, Birch Gold Group is who we trust to help you. So now through May 29th, Birch Gold is giving first-time gold buyers a rebate of up to $10,000 on qualifying purchases. So for details and a free information kit on diversifying into gold, just text Trump to that number you see on the screen, 989898. Birch Gold can help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold. So just text Trump to that number, 989898, to see if you qualify for a first-time gold buyer rebate of up to $10,000. Again, Trump to 989898. All right, it's about 10:20 almost, Monday, May 11th. Thanks again for joining us live streaming, or if you're watching on replay. Let's go now to Daily Caller reporter Ashley Brassfield. Ashley, thanks again for joining us here on Right Side.
Well, thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, it's awesome to have you back. So let's talk about Spencer Pratt. I mean, holy smokes, that guy is on fire in a good way out there in LA.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite topics to talk about right now. After seeing all the ads run from him, I think it's really showing kind of a 2016, 2015 Trump style campaign that we're seeing. And, everybody on the left wants to downplay Spencer Pratt for being a celebrity. And I think we're seeing a little bit of authenticity like we saw back in 2015 from the president. And it's refreshing, especially in a place like LA. That's pretty, I would say, gone downhill. And I've seen it myself as a former beach volleyball player.
Yeah, it's so wild because you think of Spencer Pratt in LA, and then if you go all the way to the other side of the country in New York, and then you have Mamdani. It's just this strange right side of history versus the wrong side of history, isn't it?
Yeah, and you're exactly right. I'm glad you brought up Mamdani. It's like the right's playing the left's game, but better in a way. I would say with the Spencer Pratt campaign, I mean, you saw Mamdani really just focus on talking about New York City and New York City alone. And that's really what Spencer Pratt's doing. Yeah, he doesn't really care about the national politics. His home burnt down in the Palisades fires. And so he's keeping the messaging right on LA. Everything that Karen Bass has done, the city council members in LA over the last few years, all under the state's leadership of Gavin Newsom as well. And all that messaging, I think, is resonating with people in LA when you can walk down the street and see somebody, defecating or urinating, whether your pet gets stolen. You can also talk about Orange County recently. There's been some reporting talking about how they've poured glyphosate into a lot of the rivers that run back into the Pacific Ocean, which is kind of ironic considering all the environmental policies that places like California have put into place. And of course, we can't forget the Palisades fires. And Spencer Pratt himself talks about this, that they wanted to protect endangered species, plants and animals, instead of, save people's homes and putting animals and plants before people.
It's so wild to see. And then, I was thinking about how Spencer Pratt, his messaging and resonating with the people of Los Angeles there. At the end of the third video that we just showed, and I might want to show those videos again just in general because they are excellent. The last video showed him, to your point, outside of his mobile home on the Pacific Palisades. I've been to the Pacific Palisades. That's a beautiful area right there. And it's like this very zen, peaceful, it's awesome. Well, now, of course, we saw what happened under Gavin Newsom's watch and LA Mayor Bass. But the point is, he spoke so authentically there, saying, this is what happened to my home. This is what's happened to this area. I'm here to fix this. I want to help fix this. So let's talk about messaging and now with technology, with social media. And actually, Ashley, I saw on your X account as well, because I was checking stories that you've been working on, because obviously I'm interviewing you now. And I saw that you're even doing some things that are on camera, right? Just kind of connect with the people. Isn't that something these days with the technology we have, just to really get that messaging out there? And thanks to President Trump and his team over the years for doing such a great job too.
Yeah, so I think we saw this take off in the 2024 campaign cycle because President Trump was on, platforms like TikTok, going on podcasts, long form. I mean, Spencer Pratt's campaign jumped off, I would say, because of the Joe Rogan podcast appearance. And you're seeing that kind of across the board in politics because there is a sector and a combination of culture, politics, and whether it even be sports in a lot of ways, because there is some things that cross over into politics and sports as well. But I think that this Generation Z, and the upcoming generations don't get their, news from traditional media. You're looking at 65-year-olds that are still watching cable news, but you're also seeing, the younger generations totally rejecting that. They want authenticity. I think that's what shocks so many people about long-form podcasts is because they were seeing all the things they were viewing was short form, but they're also, really going after things like long form podcasts to get information. But there's also the play for short term digital media. You see this with YouTube Shorts, TikTok. But I mean, Spencer Pratt, going back to him, totally has utilized this. I mean, his social media game is so strong. It's the same thing what happened with Trump in 2024. But he's utilized this. And I mean, his message is so authentic. It displays well on places like social media and for audiences like that. I mean, I played beach volleyball over the years in Southern California and LA and even around the Pacific Palisades. And it's a gorgeous area, but I myself saw the decline there. And I think pointing out the obvious to people, he continuously, I've seen in a lot of his videos, talks about common sense. It's a repeated word he uses that resonates. And I think that's going to be something that the media has to figure out eventually. And I think people are throwing spaghetti at a wall and seeing what sticks. And you see Spencer Pratt playing this really, really gritty grassroots ground game, and it's working for him. So I think this is the future of political campaigns and media for sure. And you can see that across the board, across the country.
And obviously already talented in the reality TV kind of aspect there. So just parlaying that in with a great message and a heartfelt message there. Let's stick to the Golden State. What if we have a Republican governor there and a Republican mayor in LA? Holy smokes, would that be awesome?
Yeah, it's definitely would be sending a message to the, Democrats that have run the state for years now. And I think that Californians, you saw mass migration during the COVID-19 year because of the policies that were implemented by those, administrations in LA. But now you're seeing people that stuck to staying in the state. They want to see the state succeed. I think we should be fighting for the state of California. It wasn't all that long ago that they had a Republican governor. Ronald Reagan himself is from the great Golden State. So I think you're going to see Republicans make a play here. And Democrats, they've had a hard time just basically grabbing the game in California, especially in the gubernatorial race. You saw the Eric Swalwell stuff play out. Katie Porter doesn't really have the support she needs. I think Gavin Newsom's going to have a hard time, finding his next person to fill the shoes in a way. And that's exactly what's happening with Chad Bianco and Steve Hilton. They're able to play the ground game much better due to those factors. So, and you're even seeing that with Spencer Pratt. So.
Exactly. And then when you talk about Gavin Newsom, remember he was at that restaurant during COVID. He's saying everybody's got to stay indoors and stay masked.
Oh, yeah,
and
it's the French laundry.
Apart. And then he's just chilling there, no mask, out with a bunch of people out to eat. People see through that junk. They also saw through his handling of the Pacific Palisades and other things. Remember, people were walking up to the governor and so upset about, well, where's the water with the fire hydrant? Well, like, what's going on here, right? So, final topic here, Ashley. When people that are maybe liberal or they're brought up a certain way in thinking, maybe in California, but when something happens in a physical sense, like a fire, and the government just drops the ball, doesn't that shake their mind and say, I might be wrong about what I've been thinking for so long, and that brainwashing gets reversed?
Yeah, don't trust the government. Oh my gosh, what a thought. So I think that's what they're coming to terms with a little bit here. And I think that relying on, a state government like California to just clear brush fires or just to clear the brush before a fire takes place is kind of the bare minimum. You see a lot of these homeowners having to install sprinkler systems to put the fires out themselves or help, protect their homes, along with all the insurance premiums. We saw a mass exodus of insurance companies from the state of California right before these fires took place. But now you have to also deal with the permitting aspect. And it's this reliance on the state government in California that's really just, I think, made a lot of these states and the residents in them so mad. And I think that, there is an aspect to, being a liberal, a Democrat, that there is an empathy thing at the, bare minimum level. But it depends if you have more empathy, I guess, for a plant or an animal over people in their homes and being able to thrive in a state. And I think that they're coming to terms with that question now. And I think that goes for, people that kind of lead libertarian, that middle ground. They're going to have to make a stance, especially when the times get tough.
Outside of California, in closing, are there stories that you're working on this week, or maybe today you're releasing something? Just give us a little rundown on some things.
Yeah, we're working on a few things with campaigns. Of course, we have a May 19th primary date coming up with a lot of Senate races and even some congressional campaigns. You see, I've been working a lot with on the Thomas Massie campaign specifically. We're going to see a lot of things continuing to happen in Kentucky in that senatorial race. Same with Georgia. So a lot of eyes on a lot of these races. A lot of these dates have also gotten pushed back due to the redistricting efforts across the board in the Southeast as well. So keeping eyes on that, as well as Daily Caller is covering currently the move by Democrats to push out the 9 justices in the Virginia Supreme Court currently happening. And personally, there's a DC story that's going to be coming out, pretty shocking, with an author in a bookstore. So stay tuned for that.
All right, sounds great. Daily Caller reporter Ashley Brassfield. Thanks again for joining us, Ashley. Awesome. Well, good stuff. It's always good to have great people on the right side of history doing great things for this country, whether it's in media or podcasting or online publications, whatever we can do to get the word out, to tell the real stories of real Americans across this country, but also for you to just get to know us a little bit. You see us here at Right Side. I'm on camera a lot, just talking and blabbing on here. I had no teleprompter, just kind of rolling with it. But really, at the end of the day, for God, family, country, right? And for freedom. So that's really what the whole thing is about. And one more note about Spencer Pratt. Before we get to our sponsors, I can guarantee you that CNN or some of the cable news out there, and even some of the old dinosaur networks, which respect to them at the beginning, they had some news coverage, that kind of thing. But we know it's been hijacked. We see the corruption all the way through. But I could guarantee they wouldn't play what we just played, the Spencer Pratt triple video that we just did, which we will again right after these sponsors. Let's go to some of them right now here on Right Side as we're approaching that bottom of the hour, which is the start time for the maternal healthcare event at the White House. So as soon as we see that live feed, we'll take you there. In the meantime, there's Kalshi for you, kalshi.com/RSBN. QR code, download the app, or just go to kalshi.com/RSBN. A number of topics that people are putting money on the line for and just checking out polls there too, including in the LA mayoral race, the gubernatorial race when it comes to the governorship there in California, and Texas primary coming up on May 26th. Also a number of other political trending topics. And if you're just not feeling politics on the Kalshi thing, just check out a million other topics. You can just scroll at the top there once you go to kalshi.com/RSBN. Let's also go to our next sponsor here on Right Side, Cove Pure. Of course, we've been talking about Cove Pure a lot, but at the end of the day, it's because it's about health. Really at the core of this is about health and drinking any tap water. I don't know how people do it, but if you do it, oh boy. I mean, there's a lot of junk in there, but Cove Pure is able to assist. More than 176 million Americans are drinking tap water with these PFAs in it. They're those man-made chemicals used in food packaging, nonstick cookware, firefighting foam. As you've heard, scientists call them forever chemicals because once they're in your body, they stay there. They don't break down. They're linked to all sorts of medical problems, including hormone disruption, immune damage, and increased cancer risk. But this is the part that's making a number of people upset because the EPA actually set legal limits for PFAs in drinking water back in 2024, but the water systems around the country, they have until 2031 to comply. Obviously, it's 5 years from now, so until that deadline arrives, a utility can operate above that legal limit right now, and they're not required to notify you. So you're just drinking that water. That's why every single household needs that specific product right there, because the government knows these chemicals are harmful enough to regulate. They're just not making anyone act on it yet, which means if you want clean, healthy water, you're going to have to do this yourself. Cove Pure was engineered exactly for this. Unlike the normal pitcher filters you get at the store, Cove Pure's clear wave reverse osmosis technology is certified to remove up to 99.9% of contaminants. So the PFAs, heavy metals, fluoride, pharmaceuticals, they're filtering particles hundreds of thousands of times smaller than a single human hair. The best part is they make this so easy with Cove Pure. It just sits right on your countertop. You don't have to drill any holes or call someone in to install it. You just plug it in. You can even get whatever temperature water you want, hot, cold, or warm. That's just with the tap of a button. So don't wait till 2031. Take control of your water quality right now. Head to covepure.com/RSBN. And because you're a viewer of this broadcast, you'll get $250 off right now. That's covepure.com/RSBN. Great sponsors here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. It is 10:32 Eastern Time. As mentioned and as promised, in case you missed it, here is hopefully the next mayor of Los Angeles, Spencer Pratt.
Turns out it's a lot easier to fight fires when there's water in the reservoirs.
We're even allowed to arrest criminals now, with handcuffs and everything.
I don't have to wonder anymore whether I just stepped in human shit or dog shit, so that's nice.
I only see needles in the hospital now. Who knew it could be this way?
I love going to the park now that it's not an open drug market.
Okay, who here is willing to admit that common sense actually turned out to be good?
I feel safe walking her. She's definitely having a Pratt summer.
Who's having a Pratt summer?
This is where Mayor Bass lives. You notice something? Or here, where Nithya Raman's $3 million mansion sits. They don't have to live in the mess they've created where you live. This is where I live. They let my home burn down. I know what the consequences of failed leadership are. That's why I'm running for mayor. For my sons and the rest of us Angelinos that want to stop these corrupt politicians from destroying our city. We are going to get the golden age of Los Angeles back.
Spencer Pratt, running for mayor in Los Angeles. Again, we had Ashley Brassfield with the Daily Caller on just a minute ago. We were talking about the Golden State and how, wouldn't it be great? Spencer Pratt as mayor, Steve Hilton or Chad Bianco, a Republican, as governor in Sacramento. Man, California could be turning around. Hopefully our country turns around in the sense of what President Trump talks about, the Save America Act. He wouldn't call it the Save America Act if the country didn't need to be saved. We know that voter ID and proof of citizenship and the whole fiasco with mail-in ballots, ridiculous. We saw what happened in that 2020 election. All the stuffing of the mail-in ballots. Oh my, oh my. How many people for one name maybe voted all across the country? I mean, there's so many different pieces of receipts, evidence, and facts in that case. So, yeah. We'll see what happens with the Save America Act. I don't know if it's going to pass. That's my personal opinion because we see what's happening. There's not even any momentum on Capitol Hill right now for it. Why? The start of Police Week is underway, so let's take a look at a video as we back the blue.
Hi, I'm Kash Patel, the 9th Director of the FBI. It's my incredible honor to join America in kicking off Police Week 2026. Each May, we pause to commemorate the incredible dedication and bravery of our law enforcement communities across the country. It's a special time to honor the heroes who face danger day after day, those who stand on the front lines and shield our citizens from the dangers that threaten our peace and safety. Over this last year, I've had the privilege of meeting countless federal, state, local, tribal, and territorial law enforcement officers across the nation. Without exception, these men and women are the reason we are the safest we've been in a long time. Every day, they put on the badge and uniform and do their jobs with honor, integrity, and dedication to the communities they call home. These brothers and sisters in blue serve a mission that all of us in law enforcement share. The mission to create a safer America. But too often, they give up their lives for that mission. Last year, 53 law enforcement officers in our country were feloniously killed in the line of duty, and another 28 heroes tragically suffered accidental deaths while protecting and serving their communities. Each of those sacrifices has had a profound and far-reaching consequence. Each loss has touched us all deeply and left behind a legacy we'll never forget. These heroes left for work knowing they might not make it home, that a routine traffic stop or search warrant could turn deadly. And yet they showed up for the American people, the way all of our nation's officers keep showing up for us every day. That kind of dedication deserves to be recognized. So to all of our law enforcement colleagues, past and present, and their families, the FBI is honored to serve alongside you and inspired by the dedication you show every single day. Thanks to the work you all do 24/7, 365 days a year, and to the Trump administration who always backs the blue. I'm here to tell you, as I've done before, if you touch a cop, we're going to put you down. Backing the blue is here to stay. We're here with you, shoulder to shoulder, as we accomplish our shared mission to protect our nation. Thank you for serving.
All right, so backing the blue, of course, as it's National Police Week. It's also ending, I think tomorrow is National Nurses Week as it started last Wednesday. So just a lot of people to thank, of course, all year round, really. Police, fire, first responders, corrections officers, doctors, nurses on the right side of history, of course. A lot of great people out there every day working to keep things moving forward when it comes to safety and assistance and all that. So great stuff there. Let's also go to All Family Pharmacy, as of course Mother's Day was just yesterday, and there's something else worth thinking about. It's her health and being prepared. So moms, of course, are always taking care of everyone else. The second someone gets sick, they're the first to step in and help. It's time we take care of them too, because right now, All Family Pharmacy is running a Mother's Day sale, 35% off everything on their site. This is code RSBN 35. Again, this is the last day for the sale. Usually it's RSBN 10 for 10% off, which is still a good deal, but 35% off. And not only just a good deal, I mean, we're talking about getting a chance here to get ahead. You don't have to wait until something comes up. You could be prepared with allergy medications or everyday prescriptions, emergency medications, from hormone and thyroid support to weight loss, energy, antibiotics, antivirals, even anti-aging and hair support. It's all in one place. You order online and they handle everything for you without the runaround. So you can get your prescription approved by a doctor and the company will ship it straight to your door. So take care of the women who take care of everyone else. allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Again, that RSBN 35 promo code, 35% off, ends today. Let's go to our next sponsor here on Right Side Broadcasting Network as we get ready to go to the White House for the maternal health care event. So when there are supply constraints on commodities, prices surge, of course. You saw it with the fuel prices when the Strait of Hormuz was blockaded. We also know that gold is a limited commodity. They mine it out of the ground, and when it's gone, it's simply gone. Governments can't just print more of it, and that's why everyone from central banks to savvy savers are diversified with gold. So if you've been thinking about it for years but have still never moved some of your savings into physical gold, Birch Gold Group is who we trust to help you. Now through May 29th, Birch Gold is giving first-time gold buyers a rebate of up to $10,000 on qualifying purchases. For details and a free information kit on diversifying into gold, text Trump to that number, 989898. Birch Gold can help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold. Text Trump to the number 989898 to see if you qualify for a first-time gold buyer rebate of up to $10,000. Again, you'll get that free info kit as well. So text Trump to 989898 today. All right, so if you're just joining us, hopefully you had a great weekend. Of course, happy Mother's Day to you. We started out our broadcast at about 9:30 this morning. Is that right, guys? 9:30? And we aired a number of videos regarding Mother's Day, of course, from the White House and the First Lady and a number of other videos. So if you missed any of the beginning of our broadcast, go ahead and replay a little bit later if you'd like. This as we get ready to see President Trump to talk about this healthcare, maternal health care event. This will be held in the Oval Office. Later today, an RSBN doubleheader, we'll have President Trump speaking from the White House as he hosts the 2026 national champion football team, the Indiana Hoosiers, which usually you think of Indiana and you think of the Hoosiers, you think of basketball. Well, this time, of course, they won that national championship in football, so we'll be looking at that a little bit later. Also, specifically, let's go to a number of other videos in just a second. Let's take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back here on Right Side.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
Welcome back to Right Side Broadcasting Network. I'm Matthew Alvarez. Thanks again for live streaming in or watching a little bit later on replay. But either way, we're going to see the president in just a bit from now. As soon as we see that live feed, we'll take you to the White House. As for today's maternal health care event at the White House, so yesterday, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services launched moms.gov, a groundbreaking website for new and expecting mothers. It's a first-of-its-kind resource that offers guidance and information to support the health and well-being of mothers and their families. So this, from a White House press release and an HHS press release. Moms.gov also supports expecting parents who are navigating difficult or unexpected pregnancies. It features information about pregnancy centers, federally qualified health centers, nutritional guidance, Trump accounts, and other resources that allow maternal and infant health to thrive. A quote from RFK Jr., of course, the Secretary of HHS, reads, "This Mother's Day, the Trump administration is strengthening its commitment to America's families by equipping mothers and fathers with the resources and information they need to build healthy, prosperous lives," end quote. He also said moms.gov delivers critical tools and support to help parents foster healthy pregnancies, strengthen young families, and create brighter futures for their children. This is how you make America healthy again. Also, we're hearing from some of the other officials there saying, quote, "On Mother's Day, we recognize that the health of mothers and the health of women are deeply connected," said Deputy Assistant Secretary for Women's Health, Dorothy Fink, the doctor. Through our Perinatal Improvement Collaborative, we have reduced maternal mortality by 41.5%. We remain committed to supporting women's health throughout motherhood and at every stage of life, end quote. So moms.gov is an easy-to-navigate platform, we're told, that features information on support services and health centers, specifically pregnancy centers and FQHCs. Also, nutrition quick facts for mothers based on the dietary guideline for Americans, Trump accounts, Trump RX, resources for women and parents, preconception health, breastfeeding, mental health, and adoption. So to make America healthy again means providing the chance for families to excel physically, mentally, and in their social and spiritual well-being. So moms.gov is an important new federal resource in support of that goal. Again, that all per the release from the Department of Health and Human Services. So all of that being discussed today, of course, at the maternal health care event, and maybe the president will take questions after that event. As of now, we don't see a live feed into the White House yet, but as soon as we do, we'll bring you there live. In the meantime, let's go now to the president of National Religious Broadcasters. Troy Miller joins us once again. Sir, thanks again for joining us here on Right Side.
It's great to be with you today. Thank you for having me.
Definitely. In just a few months, of course, celebrating 250 years for our country. So let's talk about the Founding Fathers. They were all in their, 20s and 30s, but man, did they do something great, didn't they, Troy?
They did. All these young men, not only did they love their countries, but they loved their families. And that was at the root of really what drove the revolution for this country. They heard sermon after sermon in their churches about where their freedoms come from and the foundation of our moral footing in the scriptures. And they risked everything in order to revolt against the British Empire.
It's so true, and we saw what happened then in the sense of the history books and what we have now in this country, the freedoms that we've had for so many years. We want to keep that going, of course. Let's talk about the Christless conservatism. I saw a story there as well that you were talking about.
Yeah, we've had so many, shifts in politics in this country. And of course, I think from about the mid 20th century, we really tried to push religion out, and specifically the Christian religion out of all of the public institutes, school, college, higher institutes out there. And I think out of that, what we've come up with, especially on the conservative movement, is a kind of a moral conservative movement that bases its understanding on the Bible, but it doesn't really follow the Bible. It doesn't have the compassion that we have when we have Christ. So I'm really concerned about where that's heading on the right, because look, without Christ and without a real change in people's hearts, then you get, as I say, this Christless conservatism, which leads to far-right fascism.
Well, and it's just more of a religious kind of operation instead of that connection with Jesus Christ of Nazareth, of course. So it's like, yeah, I mean, that's really what we're here on this earth. He made us for that, to connect with him first, right? So let's also talk about Rededicate 250, May 17th. President Trump has the whole national reflecting pool taking care of that. It's going to be a gorgeous spot for the May 17th event. Your thoughts about that? And will you be there, or are you just talking about it a little bit?
Yeah, so we've been talking about, I just came back from Washington, D.C. just this last Saturday, watched all of the construction going on in the National Mall there, getting ready for this next weekend. I think it's going to be fabulous. But look, we have a president who does understand that the moral fiber of this country comes from our, what we call Judeo-Christian background. And it's really that marrying of the Old Testament and the New Testament. I was at an event for the National Day of Prayer. You know, Os Guinness, who's a great historian and philosopher, got up and said the founding fathers quoted the book of Deuteronomy more than anything else as they established this country. So I'm really happy, thankful for the president. He's calling us back to rededicate this country to that purpose.
It's so awesome. And to your point, in Deuteronomy, and I believe it's Deuteronomy and in the New Testament, the book of Luke, referring to, if somebody were to ask, what is the greatest commandment, in the Bible? And it's to love the Lord God with all your heart, soul, strength, and mind, and your neighbor as yourself. And it's in the Old Testament, it's in the New Testament, so God must really mean it, huh, Troy?
He must really mean it. And back to our Christ list, Jesus in John, when he's in the upper room in John 14, right, he's talking to the apostles, and he says, you heard it. He said to love your neighbor as yourself. He said, a new commandment I give you, love your neighbor as I have loved you. He raised it up even with that compassion that he had for people above and beyond what the law itself would give.
Exactly. So we've seen that in the Word, and hopefully we see that out there in our world as well. Finally, any other newsletters or stories or interviews or things that you have on tap this week or for the remainder of the month? I know May 17th is huge for Rededicate 250. Of course, Flag Day, June 14th, and then July 4th, big stuff coming up.
It is big stuff coming up, and we have on our website, nrb.org, you can find out where all kinds of Christian organizations have things going on just around the country, around this A250, we call it, around this anniversary of America. So just a bunch of fun stuff coming up. We'll be speaking at different places between now and the 4th. Just excited that this country can really look at and come back to the roots of the American dream, and those roots of the American dream are roots that our Creator is the one who gives us our right. Faith, freedom, and liberty are so important to us.
It is so true. That is the heartbeat of America. The president of the National Religious Broadcasters, Troy Miller, joining us once again. Troy, thanks for your insight. Thanks for spending time with us.
Thanks for having me.
Definitely. Isn't that the truth? Faith, freedom, liberty, all the things. And that's what really this is all about, especially in conservative media on the right side of history, whether it's on social media, whether it's right here live streaming on Rumble and YouTube and X and our app and all the places that you watch, whether you're watching live or on replay a little bit later today. But thanks again for live streaming in. Everybody that's watching right this second, thank you for watching. Thank you so much for being with us. We are going to cover a number of things, of course, this week, including later in the week, President Trump and the First Lady heading to China. So that's quite the international trip for the president. But also prior to that, most likely, I would think, there will be another press briefing at the White House. Will it be Secretary of State Marco Rubio again, as Carolyn is on maternity leave? Or we'll see who it is. Maybe the vice president. Maybe the president himself will hold the press briefing. Who knows? We'll watch. And we'll also be seeing the president today, of course. Maybe he'll ask or get some questions after the event, this maternal health care event that will happen at the White House. Now, it's originally slated for 10:30 this morning, obviously 10:53. At this hour, no sign of a live feed yet. As soon as we see it, we'll take you there. In the meantime, we have a lot of social media videos and various live guests that will join us here on Right Side, holding down the fort until that event happens. And of course, if there's any breaking news or developing news or anything that we need to be letting you know about that we see, we will do that. And also, obviously you have a phone, and if you want to know what's going on, you could be checking the phone as well. But outside of that framework, we like to have us join here together and kind of go over a lot of the things that are happening out there and have a lot of the live interviews. So we're bringing on various guests, of course, for you. And we've been doing that for quite some time now. And speaking of guests, you know, every time that we've done a Trump rally here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, out there speaking with we the people, and you've seen it here since 2015 and on. Colleagues prior, of course, I joined in 2022. A lot of people have interviewed a lot of great people out there in our country. And so I was thinking the other day, I interviewed someone that was out in California, a great patriot that I ran into on Truth Social, a grandmother, 84, American patriot, loves Jesus, loves God, loves the country, loves freedom. And maybe we'll start doing some everyday Americans live interviews here on the network, or at least recorded interviews. So it's something that I'll kick around the idea, see how we can get that all together. But because that's really what we do, that's the bread and butter of Right Side Broadcasting Network, is simply giving you that voice. And it's awesome to have other patriots that are just like you in the sense of we the people join us, like Ashley Brassfield at the top of the show, John Strand, Troy Miller just now, and we have a laundry list of people to join us here any minute from now. And what we'll do is, as we are monitoring the live feed there at the White House, I had a number of recorded interviews ready to go, but that's going to shift to live interviews now that we're a little bit delayed with this event that's happening. Whenever it does, we'll take you there. So let's do this. Let's go to a few of our videos, though, that we've been tracking, some of the newest videos out there, including on May 17th, of course, as we were just talking about with the president of the National Religious Broadcasters, the Rededicate 250. Well, on May 17th, that event is taking place, of course, and recently Secretary Doug Collins of Veterans Affairs and the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, spoke about that with clip number 10.
America has always been a nation that understands our many blessings are not a matter of chance, but the gift of providence. On May 17th, I invite you to join us on the National Mall for Rededicate 250, a national jubilee of prayer, praise, and thanksgiving in Washington, D.C. Let us gather in unity to give thanks for 2.5 centuries of freedom and to rededicate our future as one nation under God. Be part of this historic moment of faith. Register for your free tickets now at freedom250.org.
250 years ago, our founders knew that without God's hand, the cause of liberty was lost. On May 17th, we come together to reach out once again. I'm personally inviting you to the National Mall for Rededicate 250, a national jubilee of prayer, praise, and thanksgiving on May 17th in Washington, D.C. Join millions as we give thanks for our past and solemnly rededicate our future as one nation under God. Be part of this historic spiritual revival. Register for your free tickets right now at freedom250.org. We'll see you there.
All right, so freedom250.org, of course, America 250, Freedom 250, all sorts of events going on throughout our country, including the Freedom Truck, the Freedom Plane, all cool stuff. And a shout out, I have to, Southwest Airlines with the Independence One airplane. Did you see that? The 1776 emblazoned on the side of the airplane. Pretty cool stuff. Very patriotic, very awesome to see. Meantime, recently the DHS Secretary Markwayne Mullins stopped in Kansas City, Missouri. This, as Representative Mark Alford welcomed him with open arms. Let's go to clip number 11.
Thank you. Secretary, I first want to thank you to Kansas City, great town. I'm honored to represent the 4th Congressional District of the great state of Missouri. This is a big day for Kansas City to have the Secretary here driving home the differences between the Democrats and the Republicans in this matter, this national security matter. You know, as the Secretary said, the House, we did our part. We kept our promises. We kept our word. We passed full funding for the Department of Homeland Security 4 separate times. Unfortunately, the Democrats in the Senate reneged on a deal that was previously agreed to because they didn't like the way that the Department of Homeland Security was deporting and repatriating criminal illegal aliens. They walked away from a bipartisan agreement that would have kept our law enforcement fully funded and operational. And that reckless decision has left ICE and CBP in limbo at a time when threats against our homeland are on a rise. And believe me, they are. That's why Congress must act urgently through the budget reconciliation process to deliver multi-year funding for ICE and the CBP. We've got to make sure that they are funded, and that's what this reconciliation process is all about. Look, I'm on the Appropriations Committee. The Secretary, as a senator, was on the Senate Appropriations Committee. This is not the way we like to fund things. We like to fund things through the appropriations process. That's what our committee is all about. But when people, for political reasons, stand in the way, for purely political reasons, to try to win the midterms and to try to keep from being primary, like Chuck Schumer, trying to get him not to be primaried by AOC, as you saw in the previous shutdown in November, and now this one. It's disgusting. My dad was a Special Texas Ranger, and he used to say these words when he got really frustrated. It's a crying shame. And you know what? It is a crying shame what the Democrats have done to ICE and CBP here in America. It's a crying shame that they can't get behind our unified, what should be a unified force, to deport criminal, illegal aliens and send them back to their home countries. We cannot afford another round of short-term continuing resolutions that leave our front lines vulnerable. Make no mistake, robust immigration enforcement is not a political issue. It is a national security imperative. Every day that ICE and CBP remain in limbo, we risk a return to the Biden-era status quo, one in which our borders are once again porous, as fentanyl gang members and potential terrorists flow into our communities. And folks, if you doubt what I'm saying, I was down on that border just 2.5 years ago with Speaker of the House Mike Johnson, and we saw, as we were standing there with 40 members of Congress, 30 illegals crossing, trying to get into the United States of America just south of Del Rio, Texas. And yet Alejandro Mayorkas, the biggest liar since Pinocchio, would have you believe that there was no chaos, there was no crisis, there was no security breach, there was not a problem at the border. There was a problem at the border, but thank God we have President Donald J. Trump who fixed that and closed the border to make...
Okay, that was just recently, of course, in Missouri with Representative Mark Alford. We have to cut in because right now we're about to see the president. He's participating in a maternity health care event at the White House. At last check, this will be inside the Oval Office, so we'll be going there specifically in just a few minutes. And of course, just yesterday, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services launched moms.gov. Let's go to the White House.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. It's an honor. This is very important. We have a lot of important things happening in our country right now, but we're doing very well. Most healthcare plans do not cover these benefits, but today I'm pleased to announce that the Department of Labor is issuing a new rule to formally create a fertility benefit option for employers that can be offered to all employees outside of their normal health insurance plans. It's a big deal. They were not properly taken care of. Katie Britt knows that better than anybody.
That's right, sir.
Who called me and said, I must say I shouldn't admit this, but the first time I really heard about the fertility was through Katie. She said, sir, we have to do something. And I'm a quick study, so I learned everything there is to learn in about 3-4 minutes.
That's right.
And I became the father of fertility.
That is true.
No, it just made a lot of sense to me. She explained it well. And I hope you tell that story, what happened to you, that you were virtually attacked with a bad ruling from a court. They gave a very bad ruling, as you remember, in Alabama.
Yeah, but you stepped in and saved the day and made sure that we had nationwide access to IVF, and have done so much since then, and we are so grateful.
We had something passed within 2 days after
That's
that.
great.
So
That's
it's
exactly
really pretty
right.
amazing. You don't see that happen very often. But this will be supplemental option available to those who need it, much like vision or dental insurance, so we're bringing it right down into the mainstream. By offering coverage for care at every step, the fertility journey is a very interesting one, very complex it was, and we're making it much simpler. This will hopefully reduce the number of couples who ultimately need to resort to IVF because challenges can be identified and addressed very early in the process. This is a new benefit. This is a benefit that so many people have called me about. I mean, it's incredible. Oz and Bobby, I can tell you, we speak about it a lot. So many people have called me about, we have to do this. They've been waiting for it for a long time. But this is a new benefit or an option that will be a major help for millions of American moms that will result in more beautiful American babies. We like that. To further reduce the cost of fertility care, my administration has negotiated unprecedented most favored nation agreements with all of the world's leading pharmaceutical companies and nations. You think that was easy? That was not easy. The nations in particular, I tell you, I had to challenge them with tariffs. You don't want to give us what you want? I'm putting tariffs on your nation. Sir, we'll give it to you immediately. Actually, you think Biden could do that? I don't think so. Nor did he try, Bobby, right? They didn't even try. He did not. They never tried anything. One drug commonly used in IVF has gone from, as an example, $966 to $168, a difference of 500%. This is the most incredible thing. It's not talked about by the fake news. It's sad because it's the biggest thing to happen. I think we're getting drug prices, prescription drug prices down by 400 or 500%, or depending on the way you want to phrase the question, you could say 400, 500, 600% Oz, and you could also say 80%, 70%, etc. It all depends on the way you phrase the question. I like the 500 better. And since we launched that website just a few months ago, it's called TrumpRx.gov. It's through the roof. Is that a correct statement, Oz? And by the way, you tell them that was your idea to call it Trump. It wasn't mine.
The president did not propose that name, but everyone else thought it was a great idea. It is working spectacularly well, incredibly effective at so many things. That there is not an American around buying a medication who should not check TrumpRx.gov first. We propose, Mr. President, it's going to save us $600 billion over the next decade, the kinds of savings we're going to achieve from the most favored nation drug pricing that Secretary Kennedy organized.
And the media doesn't write about it. If a Democrat proposed it, it'd be front page news every day for the rest of your life. The media, they don't want to write about it. Think of it. We're reducing drug prices by 500, 600%, or 80%, or 75%. Anyway, it's all about the phrasing of the question. And the media doesn't write about it. It's amazing. It's so sad. It's so biased. And that's why the media, their approval rating went down just today, 12%. You're 12%. That's why I got elected with 97% bad stories. I won in a landslide because you have no credibility. So I wish the media would write about it. It's probably the biggest story. Certainly it's got to be maybe the biggest story in medicine, if you think. I mean, when you get drug reduction prices of 60, 70, 80%. A pill that costs $10 in Germany, costs in New York City, costs $130, $140. Now the pill's going to go to $20 in Germany and $20 for us. So we're going to have the lowest prices anywhere in the world. And we can't get a story about it. They won't write it. It's the biggest medical story there is, and we cannot get a story about it. I think I'm going to ask Walmart for a little help, if you don't mind. Because you people seem to get very good. You get very good publicity. I think if you could explain the trick, and let me know. But since we launched the website just a few months ago, over 19,000 Americans have used those fertility medicines and discounts and saved more than $15 million just in a short period of time, very matter of weeks. The Council of Economic Advisors projects that the number will rise to $4.6 billion over a fairly small number of years. Nobody's ever seen anything like this. And we had to get the countries. First, we had to get the companies. And the companies were pretty good, but they knew I couldn't get the countries. So they didn't care that much. I think when we got the countries, I think they said, what's going on? And yet, they've done fine. They do more business, and they do it from, they made it up in volume, right? They made it up in volume, as the old story went. There are many other ways our administration is supporting moms and women. We passed the largest working family tax cuts in American history. By far, we passed the largest tax cuts, not only for women, for everybody, but for women. so many working women. We passed the largest tax cuts in history. We also made a historic investment in rural health with $50 billion distributed across all 50 states, and that gives each state a lot of money. Over the next 5 years, $10 billion has already been distributed, and you see the results all over the rural part of the United States, which I'm proud to say I won by about 80% of the vote. And many states are investing and approving maternal health care. Every Democrat in Congress voted against this historic funding. The Democrats, well, they suffer from Trump derangement syndrome, to be honest. They don't even know what they're looking at. They can't even see straight. But I have a new way out. I'm going to propose something the opposite of what I want, and we will have massive amounts of legislation. No, just all I have to do is say, we will not build the wall. And they'll go back to the president.
Diabolical.
No, I'm going to do it, Katie. We'll put it in.
I think you're
I'm going to go the opposite. Whatever is bad, I'm going to go for it, and they'll approve what's good, finally. No, they've got serious Trump derangement syndrome, which actually is a disease. I'm hearing it is actually a disease. It's an honor. Today, we're also enacting groundbreaking child care reforms to improve federal child care programs, including Head Start and Child Care Development Fund that goes to each state. It's big stuff. These reforms will give states more flexible, lower costs, increase options, and empower parents to choose what care works best for them. There's a lot of options that you're going to have. Under this plan, you have, I think, pretty much maximum options. And that's what we're looking for, maximum options at the lowest cost. And you've got a cost that if you were here a year ago, or if you were here like during the last administration, you're talking about a cost that would be 8 to 10 times more expensive than what we're doing. And same exact prescription, same exact medicine, same care at 10%. It'll also free up child care funding for hundreds of thousands of additional children to support stay-at-home parents. In recognition of this ambitious agenda to support American mothers, today we're announcing a new website that is online right now. It's moms.gov. Moms.gov. You couldn't have put that in the Trump deal. You had to give me a new one. Competition. This guy, he wants to make me work so hard. So explain moms.gov, would you please, Dr. Ross?
Well, we're going to have a whole discussion about it, sir, a little bit later. If we could, we want Katie to speak a bit about the first issue you mentioned. But moms.gov is a beautiful site. Folks want to check it right now while we're talking.
Yeah, you really should, and it's pretty incredible. Something that Senator Rubio and I tried to do, sir, but you're the one who actually did it, along with.
Well, I like TrumpRx.gov.
I feel like that.
No,
I mean, I love moms. I love moms, but I like TrumpRx.gov. You put me in there, I got to make sure it gives me competition now. You want it to work? That's all right. We're only kidding. I have to say we're kidding, otherwise they'll do. Trump and us had a major dispute. It was terrible. When Bobby broke them up, it was a terrible, terrible dispute. These people. I encourage every mom to visit this new page where they will find helpful information about addressing clinical care, pregnancy resources, nutrition tips, Trump RX, and Trump Accounts. Trump Accounts has been amazing for the kids. It's Michael and Susan Dell. They put in $6,250 million started it, and that's another one that's gone through the Trump Accounts, where young kids, they turn 18 or 20 or 21, and they feel like a billionaire. You used to say a millionaire, now you say a billionaire, but they certainly feel rich, as opposed to having absolutely nothing. It's so popular, so many people are doing it. We have people, in one case, took over the entire state of Ohio. It's putting up the money for every kid in the state of Ohio. Supporting the journey of American moms at every stage is so important to the success of our nation. I'd now like to ask Senator Katie Britt. She's the one that got me into this, I have to tell you. I hope she always remains loyal to me so I can continue to support her.
You got it.
I would hate to go against her. That will never happen, Katie, right?
That's right, sir.
But to say just a few words, she's really a fantastic woman. She's a great senator. And I got lucky. I was supporting somebody else, and then I realized that somebody else wasn't very good. And I said, who's that young woman I met that was so impressive? They say, her name is Katie Britt. I said, let me talk to her. I talked to her, I endorsed her. She won a landslide, and you've been winning in landslides ever since. So you've been doing a great job, Katie. Thank you very much. I thought I should explain it.
Thank you.
To say a few words, Katie's going to say, and followed by Monique Pruitt, and then Olivia Walton, then Dr. Oz, and Dr. Dorothy Fink, and Dr. Alex Adams. And you'll speak not too long because I am being waited on by a large group of generals, and that's also important, you know, having to do with the absolutely lovely country of Iran. That's the way they pronounce it.
Well, we will get started then.
Okay.
Mr. President, thank you for your work. We are here, guys. This is another example of promises made, promises kept. I mean, we look at what President Trump did when we dealt with this issue in Alabama. He stepped up to the plate immediately to make sure that we had nationwide access to IVF, to making sure that we had comprehensive fertility treatment, so that men and women, couples who were longing for their child, could continue to have that hope and also have that reality. Today doubles down on that yet again. I mean, we see the savings that have happened across the country, and I've had more and more people come up to me and tell me a story about what it has saved them. But we also know that there was opportunity for continued growth. President Trump saw that and he acted on it. So now more people are going to have access through their employer, just like they would dental or vision insurance. And there are people right now who this is out of reach because of affordability, and President Trump is bringing that back in. When you look at the comprehensive nature of what we're doing today and coming on the heels of Mother's Day, I mean, we are thrilled to support mothers everywhere. Whether it's that mom that is getting to experience growing life for the very first time, or the one chasing toddlers or wrangling teenagers, or being there when their adult child calls for advice. Moms are the heartbeats of our families, our communities, and our country. President Trump knows that, and he's made sure we've created a comprehensive culture of life. That's what you see right now with moms.gov. Moms.gov was something that then Senator Rubio and I talked about doing with Senator Kramer and now Senator Schmidt, but of course, President Trump is actually the one that put it into action. It supports moms through the prenatal, postpartum, and early childhood development stages of motherhood. Also, as we tackle rural health, look, I stand up here in front of you not only as a mom of two, but also as someone who lives in the great state of Alabama, where about 28% of women live in a maternal care desert. The work that we did in the Working Families Tax Cuts, guys, that hits it head on. We have an opportunity now to reach those who haven't been reached. When we look at maternal mortality rates, we continue to invest both in the research that will help us resolve that issue, but also in the women that deal with so many issues during their pregnancy. We want them to be supported. And then in addition to all of that, childcare. So we know last year alone, you had about 455,000 women leave the workforce due to affordability and accessibility of childcare. We've often said, and the President and I have talked about this, if you have or want the opportunity to stay home, we want that for you. But if you want or need the opportunity to re-enter the workforce and want to be a part of building back America, like President Trump is doing, we don't want affordability or accessibility to be an impediment to that. So not only at his direction, and I was proud to lead the effort in the Working Families Tax Cuts to modernize the tax code to make sure that child care was front and center for the first time since Ronald Reagan, sir, you're the first one to do it. Yeah. But today, that comprehensive nature of whether you're staying home or you're in a faith-based provider or you have a child care center that you lovingly send your child to during the day as you work to provide for your family, today that is easier as a result, and we are proud of what that means for the economy. We know 24% of young families, young families spend about 24% of their annual income on child care. So, Mr. President, thank you for all that you've done creating a comprehensive culture of life. This is really groundbreaking.
So do you see now why I endorsed her? So yes, yes, and always will. I'd be afraid not to. She also is married to the largest human being I've ever seen. Her husband is great. He's a 11-year player in the NFL, an all-star, one of the greatest college football players ever at what he does. So he's a fantastic person. Both two really fantastic people. Monique Pruitt speaks about Trump RX.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you, Mr. President and Senator Brett, for all the work and the teams that have done so much around this. This is a very important topic, so glad to be here. I personally use Trump RX and I've saved thousands of dollars on my medication. As President Trump mentioned, a lot of insurances did not cover this. Looks like they will be now, so that's wonderful, thank you. Even so, some don't cover the medication portion. That can be a separate pharmaceutical cost. So Trump RX has brought a lot of the prices of medications down. For me personally, Gonal F has been one of the main medicines that people use for egg retrievals, and that I cannot find it anywhere on any other website or for cheaper. So thank you so much to you guys for doing all the work. We really appreciate it from the IVF community.
It's been amazing, hasn't it, the difference in cost. It's just incredible. I mean, you're talking about something where it goes down 5, 6, 7 times. And I tell the story often. I was so proud. My first term, 1/8 of 1%. I reduced drug costs during my 3rd year. 1/8 of 1%, and that's the first time in 28 years that prices went down. And I was so proud of what I used to. Remember that?
I was there, yes.
Ladies and I'd like to just say that prices have gone down 1/8 of 1%, which is the first time in 28 years that prices have gone down for prescription drug prices and other. I was so proud of that, and now I reduced them by 500%. Perhaps that's experience. I always knew that, we were being just absolutely decimated, but, I was hunted. I was the hunter now. I was the hunted then, and I had to devote a lot of time to that. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been too effective. Yeah. If I was out of office, I wouldn't have been. I was hunted by some very bad people. Now I'm the hunter. It's much better when you're the hunter, but these are bad people, and they'll give you no support at all, no matter how good it is. I mean, as an example, I don't know what the numbers are, but if we go to Congress to get something approved, which we get. But you can say that we're going to reduce drug prices by 80%, and we won't get one Democrat vote. I don't know how they get away with it. That's why we call them the Democrats. We have they're Democrats because they're dumb. They're dumb people, and they just can't do it. I've been waiting so long for them to change, but they just keep losing, and they're going to keep losing with their policies. But we reduce prices by 70-80%, and it's such a big deal. I'd like to ask Olivia Walton, who's here with her very handsome husband, Tom. Thank you, Tom, for being here. Thank you very much. And you're going to speak about maternal health care.
Mr. President, I'm going to introduce Olivia. If you don't mind.
Okay,
Before you leave the last topic, it's the leader of EMD Serrano, which makes one of the most important fertility drugs is here. Just to remind you, because you've been giving different percentages, the Monique's price of getting a product is 1/10 of what it used to be. So 1/10, forget about percentages, that's an easy number to remember. And the fact that we were paying 10 times more for that same drug in America is embarrassing. It changed under the president, and presidents have known her for a long time, but it takes guts to take on important lobbies.
So why didn't they get it done?
Well, the main reason is they were intimidated. They're scared.
Or incompetent.
Or incompetent. But I've had plenty of conversations with the president when he says he doesn't care, he wants to do the right thing, and this is a good example.
Absolutely.
Excuse me, Katie Britt's husband's here. I just spotted this very large handsome guy. That's a great guy. Okay, go ahead.
So let me speak a little bit about the reality that 1 in 3 Americans are underbabied. What does underbabied mean? That means that you either don't have any children or you have less children than you would normally want to have. And to Katie's point, we have a crisis that's causing our fertility rate to drop below 1.5. The replacement rate is 2.1. So we're way below what we need just to even replace the people that we have in America. And one of the challenges is that rural America, where there's 60 million people, have a mortality rate, maternal mortality rate when they have babies, that's about 30% higher than if you live in an urban area. One of the ways the president wanted to address this was creating something in the Working Families Tax Cut legislation, which is, I think, the most ambitious, fantastic program ever written to help fix the healthcare system. The president saved Medicaid in the Working Families Tax Cut legislation. He also invested with Congress's help, and Senator Britt and her colleagues voted for this of the House, to put in $50 billion into rural health care. That's $10 billion a year for the next 5 years. All the money went out the door on time, and it's being used for incredibly beneficial advances to help Americans living in rural America have babies safely. Your zip code should not determine your mortality rate if you're having a baby. That is going to change. There's a great program in southern Alabama. They call it LA, Lower Alabama.
I love that you know that.
Yes, I've been there. That is allowing us to use these new ultrasound probes now if you don't have an obstetrician in your county, because in many counties in LA, which is Lower Alabama, that is the case. We have states and all the governors are embraced on this, investing a lot of money training more people to work in rural America, and we're also using telehealth tools. So you have big, sophisticated urban centers adopting smaller facilities and clinics so they can help moms deliver babies wherever they may live. You don't have to drive across state to get there. Now, as great as this all is, and as fantastic as it has been to have 50 governors, in this case, Mr. President, even the Democratic governors are on board. It's such a good offer. It's such a beautiful way of keeping your people healthy that everyone's embraced this program. We still can't do it by ourselves. We have to invest in the American people. We have to have governors and private sector partners that make this happen, as well as, and I hope the Secretary can speak to this in a moment, because MAHA is probably vital to this effort. You have to get moms healthy enough to do the most creative thing the universe knows, which is making babies. So maybe you can take the message around the private sector involvement and how you and your family have gotten involved in this and led the way, and maybe we can talk about MAHA afterwards.
Sure, I would love to. And first, thank you so much, Mr. President. Thank you, Dr. Oz, and thank you, Secretary Kennedy. Thank all of you for making maternal health really a national priority. It's an honor to be here today with all of you. This $50 billion in rural health funds, this really represents a transformative opportunity to invest in maternal health care. And in fact, it's what's given us the confidence to launch Healthy Moms, Healthy Babies America, which is our campaign. It is bipartisan. Dr. Oz is right. Democratic governors across the country are also very interested in doing this. We have a simple goal. We want to cut the U.S. maternal death rate in half in 5 years. That sounds audacious, but I am confident we can do it. I am confident because we have the federal leadership, because President Trump wants to make America the best place to have a baby. I'm confident because we now have this $50 billion, money that's already going out to the states that we can actually leverage to pay for some of this. And I'm confident because honestly, we know how to fix this. The vast majority of infant and maternal death is preventable. We know the solutions. Maternal health is rural health. You heard the numbers from Dr. Oz. I'm here today as a mother from Arkansas. I have 3 young kids. I live in a very rural state, and I'm thrilled to say Governor Sanders is taking maternal health head on and has made some incredible progress. But in rural America, it is hard to have a baby right now. It is hard to get care. We have moms driving for hours to get to the OB. Most moms don't have the time to do that, and a lot of moms don't have the money to do that either. And then after they have the baby, they're not going back for any kind of checkup. For those of you who know, who've had a baby, what's the standard of care? They say, come back in 6 weeks. It's not a good idea. You all know how precarious those precious few weeks are. You need help sooner than that. And by the way, not all this care has to be done by an OB. It can be done with doulas and nurses and midwives, folks in your community. They can work with the doctor. As Dr. Oz said, there is virtual care. The solutions really do exist, and now is the time to get serious about this stuff and scale it. So we are uniting business leaders with policymakers, healthcare providers, faith leaders. We believe there's a great opportunity for faith leaders to play a bigger role in taking care of babies postpartum. And I'm just grateful to be here. I really believe, I know you're meeting with the generals, and we appreciate you keeping our country safe. Investing in maternal health care is the most strategic investment we can make in the future of American prosperity. So thank you.
Hey, Tom, she did very well. What do you think? I'd give her a 10, maybe a 12. I'll give her a 12 out of. So when is she running for office? You know, the nice thing, I was just listening, as Olivia was saying, she's so respected, and she doesn't need this. She doesn't need to come here and go, and she goes around and checks hospitals and does things. She really doesn't need it at all. She could be doing anything she wants, anything. And I think it's fantastic. And thank you very much.
Kind of you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Really beautiful. Okay, we have Dr. Fink.
Oh, yes, right
Hi,
here.
Dr. Fink, how are you?
So good to see you.
Nice to see you. Go ahead.
Well, thank you, Mr. President, for your ongoing support of maternal and infant health. We recognize that the health of women and mothers are so deeply interconnected. That's why we launched the Perinatal Improvement Collaborative during the first Trump administration, an effort that has continued to this day to improve health outcomes for moms and babies. Through this nationwide network of hospitals, We are using real data and proven clinical practices to protect mothers and newborns. In the Perinatal Improvement Collaborative hospitals, we have reduced maternal mortality by 41.5%, which is truly incredible. And this is compared with a 5.9% decline in benchmark hospitals over the same period of time. Our goal is to have every hospital in America doing this, and we're thrilled to be partnering with Heartland Forward to make this happen. We really want every woman to have a healthy delivery and a healthy baby, and to make the United States the healthiest place in the world to give birth.
Okay.
Yes, and I'll also add in that you all and the Trump administration have taken historic steps to really strengthen support for American mothers and families. With the launch of moms.gov, we're highlighting all of the policy achievements that both you, President Trump, and Secretary Kennedy have advanced to support moms and babies. Moms.gov is the first of its kind resource that offers all sorts of guidance and information to support the health and well-being of mothers and their families. Moms.gov also really helps support expecting parents who are navigating difficult or unexpected pregnancies. We are committed to supporting women's health throughout motherhood and at every stage of life. Supporting women's health is not just a policy, it's a promise. We know that healthy mothers help build healthy families, and that healthy families build a healthy America. So I want to thank you, Mr. President, Secretary Kennedy, and everyone here for your support of women's health.
Thank you, Doctor, very much.
Thank you.
Well done. It's well done. Dr. Adams, please, about child care.
Thank you, Mr. President. This Mother's Day, we recognize the reality for millions of Americans, and that's child care has become too expensive, too difficult to find, and too disconnected from the needs of working families. For years, Washington's answer has always been the same: more bureaucracy, more mandates, and higher costs for everyone. President Trump, you are taking a different approach. Under your leadership, we're advancing a child care reform package that puts parents back in charge. And we're going to do three primary things. First, we're restoring parental choice. That means bringing faith-based providers back to the table. And it means recognizing the vital role played by home-based providers, relatives, and parents who choose to stay home during the earliest years of their children's lives. Second, we are cutting unnecessary red tape that forced providers to close, limited access to care, and made it harder for working families to find the support they needed. We're moving away from one-size-fits-all federal mandates and instead empowering parents to meet their child's unique needs. And then third, we're strengthening accountability to ensure taxpayer dollars are protected from fraudsters. Under the Biden administration, they essentially backed the Brinks truck up to states and sent the security home. We think Americans deserve better. We will ensure that these funds go to families who truly need support. Our goal is simple: more affordable options, more providers, more choices for parents, and more accountability for taxpayers. Mr. President, your pro-family agenda recognizes a simple truth: strong families build a strong nation. And if I could just add on a personal note, Mr. President, I want to thank you for your leadership, and everybody up here for their leadership on fertility issues. My beautiful baby girl, Emerson, is a product of IVF, and I thank you for your leadership on that issue and sharing the joy of parenthood with many, many more American families. Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you very much, Doctor. It's great to know. It's been really successful under this administration. And again, Katie, you were so helpful. Bobby, do you have something to say?
Very, very briefly, Mr. President. I just wanted to stress what a huge win for the MAHA movement and for the pro-life movement moms.gov is. It is one-stop shopping for IVF, for prenatal care, for postnatal care, for nutrition, for baby formula, and of course for Trump RX. We have, as Dr. Oz pointed out, a fertility crisis in this country right now. We just found out that we've dropped out of 1.57%. The replacement rate is 2.1. 100 years ago, we were at 3.27, so more than double that we are today. We are approaching the cataclysmic rates that Japan and China are now experiencing that is threatening their economy. It's a threat not only to our economy, to our national security, it's a direct threat to our Social Security Trust Fund, to the Medicare Trust Fund. President Trump has directed my agency to find out the cause of the fertility crisis, and that is part of this program. We're looking at the impact of metabolic challenges, which directly affect fertility, of obesity, which affects fertility, of endocrine disruptors, of pesticides, of this toxic soup that our young women are walking around today to try to figure it out. The fertility crisis for women began in 2007. For men in 1970, men had twice the sperm count as our teenagers do today. This is an existential crisis for our country. We had a series of presidents that were trying to discourage childbirth and motherhood in this country. We now have a president that is trying to encourage it, and I want to thank you again for your leadership.
Thank you very much, Bobby. And there's another word, autism, that we're very much involved with. And I have my own ideas, but Oz and Bobby and everybody, they're really focused on it very hard. I think in a certain way, I would like you to look at the payment schedules, Bobby, because I think it's very skewed because of the payment schedules. You understand what I mean?
Yes.
We're bringing you some ideas.
I think it has to
President.
be. I think it's crazy. I think that's what's happening. Can't pay more for that to a doctor. I mean, every person around is going to have autism. That's what's happening. So, because I really believe that that's very badly skewed. But more importantly, but I would like that done immediately. But more importantly, I think that some great progress has been made as to why, what is this thing that's happening all over the world, but here, what is it? What's going on? And there has to be something, because it spiked so much over the last 10 years. It's spiked over the last 15 years. It's gone up many, many times. And I think it's a very important thing to mention. I mention it all the time, having to do with other subjects, and then I bring in autism. Anything having to do with medical, I always bring in autism. On another topic, we're looking very seriously at natural 7-OH and getting that approved, natural 7-OH. And we'll take a look at that very strongly. I think Oz and everybody, we're looking to see if we can do something there. A lot of people are asking for it. And thank you very much for the work on that. And with that, do you have any questions?
Mr. President, you mentioned that you were at the meeting with the generals on Iran. You rejected a deal from Iran over the weekend. Can you tell us anything about that proposal and what, if any, effort will be made to break this deal?
Yeah, it was just unacceptable. A lot of people said, well, does he have a plan? Yeah, of course they do have the best plan ever. I mean, Iran has been defeated militarily, totally. They have a little left. They probably built up during this period of time. We'll knock that out in about a day. But I have a plan. It is a very simple plan. I don't know why you don't say it like it is. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. They're very dangerous. They're very volatile. It's a terrible thing that's happened over there. They've killed 42,000 people in the last 2 months. 42,000. At least that's what we know of. 42,000 people. They killed numerous people over the last week, but they killed 42,000 people a month and a half ago. They were unarmed protesters, not at all violent protesters, and they started taking them out, shooting them. So we're not going to let them. That's the plan. People say, what's the plan? The plan is very simple. The blockade, first of all, was a part of military genius, just like Venezuela was military genius. We have the greatest military in the world by far, and we're stocked up with great ammunition. We have much better stuff than we did 2 months ago when we first did the attack, which knocked them for a loop. But very simple. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. It can't have it. And if they did have it, the Middle East would be gone, Israel would be gone, and they'd hit Europe probably next. We're doing the service to the world. And this has gone on for 47 years. Other presidents and leaders of other countries that have the power should have done it, but they didn't do it. But it's a very simple plan. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon, and they won't have a nuclear weapon, and they didn't want to go that far. If you can believe it, they didn't. How stupid. Are they stupid people? They didn't want to believe it. They think that, well, I'll get tired of this, or I'll get bored, or I'll have some pressure. But there's no pressure. There's no pressure at all. We're going to have a complete victory. We've already, in theory, had a complete victory from the military standpoint. The military, look, their Navy is dead. They had 159 ships. Right now they have 0, other than the little speedboats that go around that got taken out 8 a day by us. They have no Air Force. They have no anti-aircraft. Now, they probably put the shoulder jobs into service over the last 3 weeks, probably. But essentially, they have no anti-aircraft. They have no radar. And frankly, their leaders have been killed at the first level, second level, and half at the third level. And then they come back and they want to negotiate, and they give us a stupid proposal. And nobody would take it, although Obama would have taken it, Biden would have taken it. What they took was far worse. So we stopped them twice. We stopped them when I terminated the worst deal probably ever made in the history of our country in terms of defense. That was the Iran nuclear deal by penned by Barack Hussein Obama. That would have given Iran a nuclear weapon within a year. They would have had it years ago. I terminated that in my first term. And then when that beautiful plane right there hit them hard, we really hit them hard. And they told me, I want to just tell you this because they like to say, oh, well, maybe it wasn't that hard a hit. Iran told me very strongly, because they intend to give us the nuclear dust, as I call it. It's easier than talking about other terms because it's a term everyone knows. But the nuclear dust, which is what we hit, they told me, number one, you're getting it, but you're going to have to take it out because the site was so obliterated that there's only 1 or 2 countries in the world that could get it. It's so deep and got hit so hard that there's no way they have the equipment to move it. You and China are the only 2 countries in the world that could take it out. So we talked about it, and they said, you'll have to take it out because we don't have the capability of doing it. So for those people that like to say that those great pilots in those great planes, well, we just ordered 22 more of them, new and improved, that those great pilots didn't do their job. They did their job. At 1 o'clock in the morning with no moon, no light, no nothing, every single bomb hit its targets. And then, as you know, we shot some incredible things that nobody else has. Nobody has a military like we have. We shot the Tomahawks from a submarine 200 miles away, and that went on top of it. But every one of those, including the Tomahawks, every one of those weapons and shots hit perfectly. And they said to me, just to put it on the record, they said to me, there are only 2 countries in the entire world that could ever get that stuff out of there because we don't have the equipment and nobody else. They said China and the United States. So I just want to let you know those pilots did an unbelievable job, very dangerous job at 1 o'clock in the morning. Think of it, no moon, no nothing. We had no light, purposely. And every single one of those bombs were right down an air chute in a granite mountain that exploded. And they are unable to get it, even if they wanted to. But we're not going to take a chance, so that's part of the deal.
So, sir, you said that they agreed to allow the removal of all their enriched uranium?
Yeah. Well, they did 2 days ago. They didn't, okay? They did 2 days ago. They said, you're going to have to take it. We were going to go with them, but they changed their mind because they didn't put it in the paper. So when they sent us this document that we waited 4 days for, that should have taken 10 minutes to do, look, very simple. We get that. They guarantee no nuclear weapons for a very long period of time, and a couple of other minor things, but they just can't get there. So they agree with us, and then they take it back. But they said to us that it was so badly obliterated, it was the word they actually used, that was my original word, then it got challenged by some of the fake news. And it wasn't challenged with any knowledge, it was just challenged like they were hoping that this wouldn't have been so successful. No, it was obliterated. We have the greatest military in the world. I built it largely in my first term, and I didn't know I'd be using it quite this much in my second term. But very simply, when they say, does he have a plan? Yeah, I have a plan. The plan is very simple. You know, in war you have to change, you have to be flexible, you have a lot of plans, but you have to do different plans in different days. But I have a great plan. But the plan is they cannot have a nuclear weapon. And they didn't say that in their letter.
Mr. President, regarding the leadership changes that you've talked about in Iran, is this still a leadership that you believe you can negotiate with and ultimately reach a peace deal with?
Well, you have 2. You have the moderates and you have the lunatics. And I think the moderates are more respected. the lunatics want to fight till the end. You know, it'll be a very quick fight. But I call them. You have, just like our country, we have lunatics too. I call them lunatics. I call them stupid people too. But in Iran, they have the moderates and dying to make a deal, and then you have the lunatics, and I guess they're a little bit afraid of the lunatics, but and why not? The level of ferocity for protest, you know, the people are watching it. They want to go out on the streets. They have no weapons. They have no guns. We thought the Kurds were going to give us weapons, but the Kurds disappointed us. The Kurds take. They have a great reputation in Congress. Congress says, oh, they fight so hard. No, they fight hard when they get paid. So I'm very disappointed in the Kurds, but they were given. I said it wasn't going to work, by the way. I just have to say it. I disagreed with what they did. They gave it. I said, they'll never get there. And I was right. I like to be right. In this case, too bad, but we sent some guns with ammunition, and they were supposed to be delivered, but they kept it. I said they're going to keep it, but what do I know? I've only been doing this a short period of time. What do I know?
For the time being, the ceasefire remains in place?
What?
For the time being, the ceasefire remains in place?
You know, it's unbelievably weak, I would say. I would call it the weakest right now. After reading that piece of garbage they sent us, I didn't even finish reading it. They said, I'm not going to waste my time reading it. I would say it's one of the weakest right now. It's on life support. They understand these are all medical people. Dr. Oz, life support is not a good thing. Do you agree?
Bad prognostic.
I would say the ceasefire is on massive life support, where the doctor walks in and says, sir, your loved one has approximately a 1% chance of living. Yeah.
Mr. President.
Daniel, go ahead.
Yep.
One of the best reporters in Washington.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Oz referenced this a little early. 2 questions on healthcare, if I can. The Council of Economic Advisors released a report saying that the most favored nation drug deals will generate about $529 billion in domestic savings over the next 10 years across all markets. How transformative are these deals?
And makes people better.
Yeah, it does. How transformative are these deals for millions of Americans? And do you believe that the most favored nation drug deals are the Republicans' golden ticket to the midterms?
I think the Republicans should walk away with the midterms. Now, typically, whoever is president, they vote the other way. Nobody knows this. Do we have a psychiatrist in the group? Nobody knows why, because I think we've had the best president. A lot of people have said, even some radical left lunatics have said that we've had the best presidency, the best first year of any president. Look, I stopped 8 wars, got the largest tax cuts in history, the largest regulation cuts in history, all the things we've done, so many, like all of this that we've done. Medically, we've done so much. You know, we did a thing called Right to Try in my first, and I could never understand it when I was a civilian, which wasn't so long ago. I haven't been doing it that long, but I always used to marvel at the fact that if they had a great drug and it had to go through the FDA, and the FDA guarded it and said you can't use it, and if a person was terminally ill and the drug was showing great promise, the person's terminally ill, they wouldn't give it to the person because they didn't want to hurt the person. And I said, well, we need something of that. And it was very important to me. And I had no idea it would be so hard to get, but we got it in total. We got it in full. It's called Right to Try. That if you're terminally ill, you have the right to try a drug that has not gone even anywhere near final. If it shows even a little promise. And we've saved thousands of lives. It was very hard to get because the insurance companies didn't want it, the doctors didn't want it, because the doctors didn't want to be blamed. The drug companies didn't want it because if it didn't work, they didn't want it on their record. So what we did is we said, we're not going to count it on your record. If somebody's terminally ill and they take the drug, it doesn't work, we're not going to count it on your record. We'll have another record, you know, a little smaller one that not a lot of people look at, but we're not going to count it on your record. So Right to Try has been one of the great successes. Again, nobody talks about it. We've saved thousands of lives, but you know what is maybe even more important? We've learned very quickly that some drugs work and some drugs don't. In other words, some drugs take a person who's terminally ill, and there are numerous cases, and without waiting 7 years, 10 years, by the way, we think we've cut it in half, but you do need a period of time. Without waiting many, many years, we know the drug works because we've taken people that were dead. We had a person given the last rites, gone. The kids are crying, and started them on this drug, and the person became better. It works, you know, and some don't work. But you learn really fast. It's called the ultimate test, I think, right? You know, they test all these things. They use animals all over the place. They use everything to test. Person's going to die. So they didn't want it because they didn't want to be sued for, you know, the drug companies didn't want to be sued if it didn't work. The country didn't want to be sued. So I got everybody into a room, and I said, we're going to do this, but if anybody uses it, they have to sign a document. They sign a very strong document that they're not going to sue the doctor, they're not going to sue the country, they're not going to sue the manufacturer, the pharmaceutical company, they're not going to sue anybody, but we're going to give it a shot. It has been, Right to Try has been so successful. It's been amazing. Nobody talks about it, but everyone knows how successful.
Mr. President, there was a young man that we visited on, actually in Los Angeles, who was taking advantage of this program. Katie actually spoke to him by phone. It's from Alabama. That he reached out to you directly, and this is the same program that benefited him. And just to put numbers on the Council of Economic Advisors, it's between 500 and whatever it was, 30 million that you said, and $700 billion in savings. So we estimated $600 billion in total savings, and the impact on the American people, Mr. President, is 1 in 3 Americans leave a drugstore without their medication because they can't afford it. Even though they got a doctor's prescription, they know they can make a difference in their lives. That will no longer happen with the most favored nation drug pricing. And we're giving drugs like which, as you call it, the fat shot, the weight loss drugs to all beneficiaries of Medicare. Every senior in America can get them for $50 starting on July 1st. These are just inconceivably good prices, and they're so good, in fact, that we actually save the taxpayer money by reducing the downstream effects of obesity, diabetes, and hypertension. Mr. President, all possible because you took brave action. And again, the quick question we should be asking ourselves is why didn't this happen a decade ago? Katie, what do you think about that young man?
That he has a new lease on hope, and it's because of you. I talked to his parents, and they said, we feel so good about our country that we literally have the President and Dr. Oz and Secretary Kennedy doing everything possible to give our son a fighting chance. They said before, no one was listening, but you, Mr. President, took action. And Will Roberts, he is such a great young man.
Well, Right to Try is
so many people.
Nobody talks about
We're with him.
Thousands of people, but it's also like this incredible laboratory of people that they're finished, they're terminally ill, they're not going to live, and we weren't given, and this went on for years. This went on, Madam Secretary, you're doing such a good job with prices, agriculture. How's the beef doing? We got to get the beef down.
We're working on it.
It's the only thing, we got to get the beef down. But
it's becoming more affordable.
This was so incredible because. And I marveled at it for 30 years. I'd say, why? I'd have friends that were terminally ill. You'd meet people. They were really in bad shape. They weren't going to make it. And they couldn't get a drug that looked like it was going to work. They couldn't get it. They asked me to get it. You have contacts. Could you get it? You couldn't get it. You go to jail if you get it. And they're going to die. They'd die 3 weeks later, 4 weeks later. And we're saving a lot of people that were gone, that were terminally ill. And what we're doing is producing almost immediately. You can almost immediately approve these drugs. But it was very, look, legally it was a disaster because everybody would be sued. The problem is somebody would die and then they blame the drug and then the drug company gets sued, the doctors, the country gets sued. A member of the family goes crazy and you're settling for millions of dollars because you killed somebody that was going to be dead in 2 weeks. So I did that and I'm very proud of it. The other thing, doctor mentioned the fat drug. So think of it, $87 it would sell in London and $1,300 in New York for the exact same box made, I won't name the company, made by the same company in the same facility. $87 in London, $87 in Heidelberg, $87 in Paris, $1,370 in New York. And this went on for a long time. And I want to say, he could be a famous guy. He's begging me not to release his name. He's a very highly neurotic, very fat, sort of a fat slob, I would call him. But he's a brilliant man. We know many of those people. He's a brilliant guy, actually. But he said, President, what the hell's going on here? He didn't need the money. He's rich as hell. but he just couldn't understand why he had to pay so little in London. He went to London, and he couldn't understand it. He said, "This is crazy." And it actually motivated me in a certain way because he was very smart. He did a study. He actually sent his people, and he traced this medicine, and he found out it was the box here is the same box as he had in New York. It was made in the same plant, and it cost 10 times more here than it did in London. And that there are worse stories than that. And I said, "That's it. It's over. We're going to do it." That got me really motivated. He's begging me not to release his name because he is a well-known person, and I so destroyed his reputation in terms of his physicality that he just doesn't want me. I said, "You've had a big impact on medicine because you got to be better than any normal person could have." He said, "No, I don't want to." Okay, yeah, please. Yeah.
What do you hope to get out of the summit in China, and how much has the war in Iran changed the agenda?
Look, I have a great relationship with President Xi. We're doing a lot of business, but it's smart business. We used to be taken advantage of for years with our previous presidents, and now we're doing great with China. We make a lot of money with China. I have a great relationship with President Xi, and I think you can see that with the fact that in Hormuz, they get a big percentage, 40% of their oil from Hormuz. There's been no ships coming in, no nasty ships coming in that we end up in skirmishes with. He'd like to see it get done. He doesn't want to see, I'll tell you what, look, I respect him a lot, and hopefully he respects me. He didn't respect our previous government, that I can tell you. The guy couldn't talk. It was ridiculous how that ever happened. Our country was hurt so badly the last 4 years. I say it all the time. It was the king of Saudi Arabia, but everybody says we were a dead country a year and a half ago, and now we're the hottest country anywhere in the world. And you know that better than anybody. You see that. Olivia sees that. You see it in the numbers. Look at the numbers. Look at the stock market. The stock market is now higher than it was when this war started. So I thought that would go down 20-25%. It was fine. I'm willing to say a terrible expression. Take a bullet. It's a terrible expression, especially when it's used by me. But I am. I'm willing to take a bullet for the country. And I said, look, the stock market's going to go down, but we're going to have a threat of lunatics having a nuclear weapon. I deal with them. I say it to them. I say, you people are crazy. I deal with them. They talk differently. I say, you're crazy. You're crazy people. You're nuts. You're not having a nuclear weapon. They think they can talk me into it, and they don't do very well with it. But they know how I feel. They can't have a nuclear weapon. They would use it within an hour after getting it. If the Obama deal wasn't terminated by me, they would have had it 6 years ago. And they would have used it immediately on Israel and also the rest of the Middle East. You saw that when they started shooting rockets. Nobody thought Saudi Arabia and Qatar and UAE were going to get hit, or Kuwait, Bahrain. I think it was a tremendous strategic mistake, and they wasted those missiles. We have the Patriots that knocked them down every time. I told the story. We were shot at one of our great assets, happened to be a ship, great ship. 111 missiles going at very high rates of speed, sophisticated equipment. And, that's all they did is build missiles, thousands of missiles. Who does this except for people that are looking for trouble? We had 111 shot at one of our ships over a very short period of time. Out of 111 missiles going at 3,000 miles an hour, all 111 missiles were knocked down into the ocean long prior to arriving at the target. And the coolest guys are the guys that do this. They're not brawn, they're brain. They sit there, missile shot. You got to see it happening. Missiles coming. They got like about 13 seconds to make a decision. It's not like, gee, let's figure it out. They make a wrong calculation. You lose a lot of men, and a lot of $1 billion times 10 ships. So, but there's a level of coolness that missile shot meant they look, and they're going, heading 47 degrees north, 1,300 feet, going 3,000 miles an hour. Okay, we have it in our sight. Fire, boom. 10 seconds left. Let me tell you, they need smart people. These people are smart. And they're so smart that they're cool. You know, under the calculations for some people are very tough. For other people, not so tough. There's, you know, about 1%. There's not too many. There's not too many people around like that. I say, a lot of times I'll call these gunners because they're phenomenal geniuses. You know, where did you go to school? I went to MIT. Where did you go to school? I went to the best schools. Smart. Got to be smart. We have the greatest military in the world. Okay.
Mr. President, back to motherhood. Your one big beautiful bill.
I like that. Because this is about motherhood, not about the beautiful country of Iran. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you all for being here. Your one big beautiful bill defunded Planned Parenthood for 1 year, but that expires on this July 4th. Would you like Congress to use reconciliation?
Well, we'll see what happens. Congress is now negotiating. We've been very good for the people that want it, for the people that are here, and we'll see how that goes. It's been a very thorny, to put it mildly, it's been a very thorny issue. It's all under negotiation right now. Yes, ma'am.
Would you like to see that defund continue?
Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. What do you think about the handling of the hantavirus by the U.S.?
I think
do you regret withdrawing from the WHO, given that?
No, I'm glad. So we were paying the World Health Organization $500 million a year. Look, it's a lot of money, but in the overall scope, it's not that much, but it's a lot of money. And we weren't being treated well, and they were making the wrong diagnoses. I was the one that said it came from Wuhan. They didn't say that. They refused to say that because they were totally owned by China. So I was saying it came from Wuhan. They didn't want to say that. Now it's turned out, I think it's been conclusive that it came from Wuhan. But I said that on the first day because I saw satellite pictures with body bags all over Wuhan. Literally all over Wuhan. So I said that they lied to me or they didn't know. So we were paying for, let's say, 350 million people. We were paying $500 million a year to the World Health Organization. That's a lot of money. What the hell are they going to do with that kind of money? And China is paying $39 million a year for 1.4 billion people. So I said, you know, you got your story wrong because we should be paying about $10 million, not $500 million. And they were willing to negotiate, but it was so popular when I pulled out. They gave us all wrong information. On COVID, they were totally wrong. And I looked today and I saw the same doctor that was there. He's a good politician. I don't know how the hell he kept his job, but he was there telling us about this. Now, the one thing with this one is that it's much harder to catch. And we've had it for a long, it's been around for a long time. People are very familiar with it. So, you know, I hope it's fine. All I can do is everything that a president can do, which is actually somewhat limited. But it seems like it is not easy to spread. In fact, it's in certain ways very hard to spread. It's been, we've lived with it for years, many years, and we think we're in very good shape. We're very careful. And Nebraska has done a fantastic job. They have a place there that those doctors are unbelievable, the job they've done. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, are you going to suspend the federal gas tax?
Yeah, I'm going to reduce until let me tell you, as soon as this is over with Iran, as soon as it's over, you're going to see gasoline and oil drop like a rock. Going to be dropping down like a rock. I mean, already, look, just on the basis of, you know, things have happened. When it first came about, 20% of the oil came out of Hormuz. That's a lot. But, you know, with time, it's like they go into Texas, they go into Louisiana, they go into Alaska, a lot of Alaska. Alaska's, you know, sort of, it seems like very far away from Asia, but it's actually a relatively short trip by comparison to other locations they have to go to get oil. And they go into Alaska. In fact, our big problem is we're building bigger docking, to fill up. But we have, we've become very big on the filling station. We're a big filling station. And what's happening is, when people heard about losing Hormuz, they said, oh, it's genius. They're finding other locations. And some of those people, I spoke to them, companies and countries, some of those people are going to continue to go to Texas. They like it better. They said it's an extra 45 minutes. They like it better. And it's sort of amazing, you know, it found its way. So a lot of people thought oil would go to $250, $300. It's not. I mean, today it's at less than 100. Think of that. Now, when this ends, you're going to see it drop like a rock.
How long are you going to suspend that tax for then?
Till it's appropriate, yeah. Till it's a small percentage, but it's still money.
Mr. President, do you still believe a diplomatic solution is possible with Iran, or do you only have military options left?
No, I think it's very possible. Look, I've had to deal with them 4 or 5 times. They change their mind. They're very dishonorable people. The leadership. Don't forget it's the 3rd level. The 1st level is gone. They were unreasonable. The 2nd level was more reasonable. The 3rd level, nobody wants to be president, you know? They say, who wants to be president? There's nobody raises their hand, you know? But they change their mind. I've had that in business many times. The mind changes, you call them. These people that you make a deal, and then the next day they send you a document that takes 5 days to get there when it should have been there in 20 minutes. You know, it's a pretty simple document. They will never have a nuclear weapon, yeah?
Thank you, sir. I was speaking with Claire Lai this morning. She's the daughter of Jimmy Lai, and she told me that she's been praying and hoping that you'll be the one that brings her dad home. She says, of any administration, she thinks you're the one that could do it. Do you think you
Jimmy
can?
Lai?
Jimmy Lai's daughter.
And there's another gentleman, a minister, pastor, as you know. I'll bring them both up. I brought it up before. Jimmy Lai I brought up. The other one I just heard about this morning, actually. And I do bring that up. You know, we've gotten, I don't know if you've been reading, John Cole, who's a great lawyer. He was a tobacco lawyer. Great guy. I won't say he's an older guy because he may be offended by that, but he is. He's a little older. And he's a wise man, actually. Made a fortune with the tobacco. He did the first tobacco lawsuit. And he's a great man. And he's brought back hundreds of people out of various Belarus. You know, you read about that. We had, and the leader has been fantastic. But somebody has to ask him. Biden never asked, we asked. And we're getting hundreds of people out of confinement and prisons that shouldn't be there, and hundreds, and many of them aren't even citizens of the United States. They're people that have been captured in some form, ministers, and people that are really innocent people, and they're being held captive. And I bring up Jimmy Lai. Now, Jimmy Lai, he caused a lot of bedlam. I don't know. It's like saying to me, if Comey ever went to jail, would you let him out? It might be a hard one for me. Does that make sense? It might be a hard one to me, because he's a dirty cop. But Jimmy Lai isn't that way. But Jimmy Lai, he caused lots of turmoil for China. He tried to do the right thing. He wasn't successful, went to jail, and people would like him out, and I'd like to see him get out too. So I'll bring him up again. I have brought him up. There's another gentleman, a pastor, as you know, with a beautiful daughter and son-in-law that would like to see him get out. I'm going to bring his name up.
Mr. President, what about Taiwan? Do you expect Taiwan to come up in your negotiations?
Yeah, it always comes up. It always comes up. It's. I used to say Ukraine would. 4 years you never even heard the word Ukraine. It was never going to happen. And it was handled so badly, Ukraine should have never come up. They lost last month 25,000 soldiers, both sides. 25,000. They're losing on average 25,000 soldiers. It's like a meat grinder. It's horrible what's happening. That would have never happened had the election not been rigged. That would have never happened. And Putin and I would talk about it, but there was never he would have never done it. Taiwan, I equate it a little bit to that. If you have the right president, I don't think it'll happen. I think we'll be fine. I have a very good relationship with President Xi. He knows I don't want that to happen. Very far away, very, very far away. We're just at 9,500 miles. You know, we're 9,500 miles. He's 67 miles. It's a little bit of a difference, but you know, there's a lot of support for Taiwan from Japan and from countries from that area.
Do you think we should still be selling them weapons? The United States should
Well,
still
I'm going to
sell
have that
weapons to
discussion with President Xi. President Xi would like us not to, and I'll have that discussion. That's one of the many things I'll be talking about. We'll have a, you know, he and I have gotten along well. Other than with COVID, I was not. I was just not accepting of what happened with COVID. But other than that, he and I have had. He's a great gentleman. I find him to be an amazing man. And when I say that, the press always says, "Oh, that's terrible that he called him." You know, he runs 1.4 billion people with a pretty iron fist. He loves his country. I can tell you that, President Xi. I look forward to being there. And if he felt anything, we wouldn't be doing it. But a lot of good things can happen. Now, we'll be talking about, I mean, he'll bring up Taiwan, I think, more than I will. But I think that a discussion will be a little bit about energy and about the very beautiful country of Iran.
Mr. President.
And by the way, Iran is a beautiful country, but it's got people running it now that shouldn't be there, perhaps. Yeah.
Mr. President, just a couple questions. Outside of these amazing benefits from employers for IVF, there are a lot of women out there who either they work part-time or they self-pay for health insurance. Is there an option for cheaper IVF for those women?
And what would you like to know?
For IVF, bring it down to the cost that's associated.
I don't know. Olivia, could you answer that question, please?
We're trying to
We're
make
putting her through a little training here, Tom. Let's see whether or not she's got it. I have no doubt she does. Go ahead.
Just a softball from the president. At Healthy Moms, Healthy Babies America.
Let's give this one to Olivia.
We are focused on making America the safest and best place to have a baby. The IVF question, I think you probably be better hit by Senator Britt and Dr. Fink and others.
Yeah, so what we're trying to do is obviously make sure that people have greater access and the affordability goes down. We did that obviously with what you saw from the president last year and the two different announcements he made. We've seen, over, thousands of people have more access with regards to affordability. I think we've saved about $15 million, but we know that this is going to go up to the tunes of billions of dollars with what we're doing here. With being able to allow employers to do this, we think it will ultimately drive down to each and every person. So that is the point. The more that people are able, we want to get, as Secretary Kennedy said, we want to get to root causes as well. So we want to make sure that we are treating the entire issue, not just putting a Band-Aid on it and moving on. We want people who want to bring life into the world to have that opportunity. We do believe that this will do that. So a combination of allowing this to be available, but then also the affordability element. I think it's down, as he said, some of these drugs down 80% from a year ago, some down 40% over a year ago. So it's a really exciting time, and we do think that this will ultimately be able to reach all Americans.
But a lot of people don't realize it's available. I spoke to people, they don't know about the Trump, they don't know about any of these things that, where you're saving so much money, where they can actually afford it. When you get prices down to just a tiny fraction of what they used to be, that's one of the reasons I don't need it for myself. I get enough publicity. But I need it to inform the public. A lot of people, like your question's a good question, but a lot of people don't know IVF and so many other things that could help them, that they assume it's so expensive it's not within their price range and they're not going to be able to afford it or even think about it. And then they hear about these numbers. And in addition, there's some help that we give them beyond even the low numbers.
Mr. President, only 1 in 3 Americans know what TrumpRx.gov does. It would be a great service. I know he kids you a lot about this not getting reported on appropriately, but there is no excuse to buy a drug in America and not check TrumpRx.gov just to make sure you're getting the best price. Think of it as a transparency site. And sure, we've got tens of millions of people who are going to it, but there's hundreds of millions of Americans. So we have got to get Americans to realize. You mentioned fertility. Fertility drugs are probably a third of the cost of the entire process. For those to drop by 90% dramatically changes the equation. And there are private companies who are now taking advantage of the whole group of individuals who can get access to fertility medications and the treatments that go with them. And as the services get better, we make them more affordable, we'll have more Trump babies.
Yeah, and we hope that that lays the groundwork there so that anyone has an ability to receive these. And also remember, this is all on moms.gov as well.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one thing we're trying to do is make sure that we are pushing people to all of these resources, because when you either want to have a child or you find out you have a child, you know, sometimes that's a very exciting thing. Sometimes, you know, you're a little overwhelmed. We want all of those resources to be in one spot so that we can help these women in their journey to motherhood.
And when people hear how inexpensive it is relative, you know, they can't even think about it. Now all of a sudden they say, I can afford that. And they get help also in affording it. There are ways of getting help to afford even those low prices. How about one more last question, please?
Thank you, Mr. President. What do you say to infectious diseases experts who say they are worried the country may not be prepared to deal with something like hantavirus because of all the HHS, you know, funding and staffing cuts?
Well, I think we take care of that. Do you want to answer that?
It's just not true. Jay Bhattacharya has taken this task on. Secretary Kennedy is involved with them. You can speak to perhaps even better than, frankly, best in the room. But the country is prepared and the CDC is focused on it. And the agency is well aware of the opportunities to actually treat this problem, not just try to prevent it in the future, but treat it if it happens now. Secretary?
Yeah, I mean, we've had CDC teams on it from day one. I was speaking with the University of Nebraska since the second day of the outbreak. I was speaking with Governor Pillen of Nebraska. We had a CDC team at Tenerife. We had airplanes ready to take the patients, the 17 patients, off the vessel and transport. 2 of them went to Atlanta. One of those was symptomatic. They're in a biocontainment lab in Atlanta. The other 16 are now in Nebraska. One of them is symptomatic. He is in the biocontainment lab. The other ones are being tested and supervised and given plans for going home. We have this under control and we're not worried about it.
But the CDC took 4 days after the WHO issued its, you know, alert. Why was it? Why did it take the US 4 days to issue an alert?
It's not true. As soon as we determined that the virus was out there, we issued an alert. The alert means nothing.
They acted very quickly. I saw the alert. Give me a break. They acted very, very quickly, and it looks like, and you know, can't bet anybody's life on it, but it looks like it's just a disease that we've had around in a very small way for a long time. Not a good one to catch because, you know, it's a very severe disease if you catch it, but it's very hard to catch. Daniel, did you have a question?
One last one. Senator Burt mentioned the website moms.gov. One of the policies that's on there are the Trump accounts, right? They're getting ready to go live this summer. When you speak to young parents, this is one of the policies they repeatedly bring up about how impactful it will be for them. Can you just talk about why Americans need to know about this and how important it is for younger parents to give their kids a head start?
So we've done more for young parents, I guess it's the way you could say it. It's a great, beautiful term. But we've done more for young parents than any administration ever in history, and we're going to continue to do so. This is, look at the people up here, they're all like brilliant. I'm one of the young ones, you know. I'm a similar age to all of you. Very similar. I feel the same as them. I actually feel worse. You know, I don't know what this is. I feel the same as I did 50 years ago. Yeah. It's crazy. Someday there'll be a day when that won't happen. I'll let Bobby and Oz know, you know? It's not quite the same. But I feel literally the same. I don't know why. It's not because I eat the best foods. Maybe they are the best foods. Who knows what the best foods are? Maybe junk food is good and the other food is no good. I know people that eat the best food. They go to a restaurant, they have celery, and I don't want it. And I'll have steak and everything else. And I say, how you doing? Well, it's over for me at a young age. Right? And all they do is watch it. I know many, many people that all they do is watch their weight, their this, their that, and they kick the bucket, and here we are. I feel great. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good time.
Thank you, Pratt. 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 Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you, Pratt.
If you saw the one photographer there in the blue shirt, that is Doug Mills of the New York Times. Man, he has been around for a minute when it comes to photos of the presidents over the years. Quite historic and a great photographer there. I met him one time at one of the rallies. A cool guy, too. Cool guy. All right, so the president taking questions from the press after participating in that maternal health care event at the White House. Now, at 4 o'clock today, the president hosts the 2026 National Football Champions, the Indiana Hoosier football team. Of course, that'll be happening at the White House. So an RSBN doubleheader of sorts. So at 4 o'clock, we'll see you then. In the meantime, this is all brought to you by some great sponsors, including mypillow.com/RSBN. You see the information right there. The Mother's Day sale is still ongoing. Use that RSBN promo code and save a lot of money, but also get a lot of great products. mypillow.com/RSBN. Also, if you'd like to donate to Right Side, all you have to do is go to rsbnetwork.com/donate. You can also mail it out to 1550 Opelika Road, Suite 6, Box 344, Auburn, Alabama 36830. Of course, a number of people sending checks to Right Side right there at 1550 Opelika Road, Suite 6, Box 344, Auburn, Alabama 36830. All right, so it is 12/19, Monday, May 11th. If you're just joining us now or just saw a little bit of what the president had to say, we started our broadcast a couple hours ago. So if you'd like to watch some of the interviews and some of the news of the day, please do. Thanks again for joining us. I'm Matthew Alvarez. We'll see you again soon.